Hey everybody, welcome to the Pylon Show. Hey, quick, In Control's asleep. Do a Brood War episode. Finally, another Brood War episode, Brood War focused. We haven't been able to do as much on Brood War since we have a lot of StarCraft 2 guests on, and StarCraft 2 is such a big game for the Westerners, but hell, that's why I have these guys on, so we can talk about that here today. Let me introduce our guests, all new to the Pylon Show. Let's start with Qikz. Qikz is the founder, caster, leader of the STPL, the big foreigner team league. How are you doing, Qikz?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me on the show. It's been, I've watched this since it started, so it's kind of cool to be here as well. Sorry, working off the back of 18 hours a week, so I'm almost at rapid levels. We're all good.
Yeah. No, I know he's crazy. We would have had him, but I think he's on an airplane to America right now. Wow. And then actually, like, I originally did have him invited to the show, and then he said, "Oh, I'm going to be on an airplane, but actually, I think I land right before, and then I can do the show." I'm like, "No, never mind. It's just enough of this work ethic." Anyways, Thank you for coming on. I know it's the middle of the night for you. You do live over in England, so
it's all good.
Another person who it is the middle of the night for, Zero, the creator of BSL, one of the most important people as well within the scene. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing pretty fine. Thank you for having me. I'm a huge fan. I've watched almost every one of the Pylon episodes, so it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm happy that we are doing the Brood War episode about of Pylon Show. It's definitely needed. So thanks for doing that, and thanks for having me.
As Qikz said, hell, it's about time. And of course, a longtime friend of mine, the GOAT, the champ, the best foreign Terran, it's Nyoken. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, and of course, I'm thankful to be on the Pylon Show. Finally, we got another Brood War episode. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
All right. Well, we will get into the Brood War topics shortly. First, I got to give a shout out to our sponsors. Of course, first, AFKT. This is Lycan's tea company. Tea is good for you. It's a great way to get some caffeine, to have something good taste. Qikz, are you drinking tea right now?
I am drinking tea.
Ooh. I'm not going to ask you if that's AFKT, but it could be. We don't know. Yeah. Check out AFKT.com. I believe Pylon is the code that you can use for some money off. All right. So thank you to them for the sponsorship. Of course, our Matcherino page, you can go to matcherino.com/Pylon Show. And we have all sorts of stuff there. You guys have been really great and helpful. If you want to buy some stuff for the Pylon Show or just contribute, that's great. Oh, I forget what the contribute code was. What was it, Cobra?
It's theater.
Theater. I bet you it's like National Theater Day or something like that in America. All right, guys, listen. This is what you can do to help the Pylon Show, and this is so easy. We always have so many people watch every episode. It's like every episode gets tens of thousands of views. And if all those tens of thousands of people went here and typed in the coupon code theater, damn, we would just be rich. And wouldn't that just make the Pylon Show better if we got rich off of it? Definitely go to Matcherino, check that out. And not just that, we have this little activation going on with 24-hour fitness. And we have these little buttons. You can press to follow them on Twitter or on YouTube. And that really helps us out. So guys, very much appreciated. If you check out matcherino.com, just sign in. You know, you can just have it auto sign in on your browser. All the browsers do that nowadays. And this will be so easy for you. And it'll make the Pylon Show money and make the show last forever. So that would be great.
When you follow, they give you a 7 free day pass you can use.
That's true. Oh my God. It's don't wait on that. 24-hour fitness. And here's the thing. If it's 24-hour fitness, I assume it's open for 24 hours a day and a 7-day pass. How many hours is that? 168 hours? Am I right? 168 hours of gym time? That's pretty sick for just a follow. All right, check that out on our Matcherino page. And of course, our Patreon, patreon.com/ThePylonShow. We have a lot of supporters right now, 407. But you know what's better than that? 408, 9, 10, etc. Just upwards. So check that out. Yes, thank you for the support, everybody. All right. This is hard without Geoff here. I got to do everything. Now I got to do This Week in StarCraft. All right, we're going to run through this real quick because it is the middle of the night for my nerds here, and then get into our Brood War topics. So This Week in StarCraft. All right. Banshee Tournament number 17. Check out Zombie Grub's Twitch channel and Discord and all that to sign up for it. It is coming up. This is for all the women of StarCraft to have a nice tournament together. Oftentimes a cash prize there as well. Ladder Heroes. You can check out on ladderhero.es. This might be literally the last update of this ever because as far as we know, there is no funding for it beyond this month. Fear Dragons put on a great tournament so far and a great ladder challenge. And this is something that you should check out. So check out the website. Congrats to the players who are doing well. Looks like Cham, Showtime, Winter, and Light up at the top at the moment. All right, the Alpha X Pro Series has continued onwards. A couple more matches have been played with Patience defeating Keen 5-3 and Impact over Creator 5-3. You can check this out on africatv.com. Casted by Swaghar and Falcon Paladin. All right, the Alpha SC2 Team League. A lot of good clans coming up into this. 3D. Oh, that's a very old Russian clan. I remember that one quite well. It looks like they are going up against the MKers, which is definitely one of the strongest European teams. Then we have Black Knight Esports from Brazil against Psystorm Gaming, one of the strongest teams out there in StarCraft 2 right now. So cheers to the Alpha SC2 Team League. You can definitely check that out. Of course, if you want to learn more about any of these things I'm talking about, check out the show notes. They are linked absolutely everywhere that you can watch, listen to, see the show, and yeah, those will always be there for you. All right, the Master Swan Sea Duckling Open. This is a tournament that happens every week. It alternates between the Up to Masters Cup and the Up to Diamond Cup. Looks like someone named Blisk won this week, so congratulations to him. You can check it out at the Twitch TV /cranky_ducklings. The TESPA Collegiate Series StarCraft 2 Team Brawl is continuing onwards. Of course, we talked about this a little bit last week. The man, the myth, the legend, the Riddler is helping his team to lead it all. We have some very good players like Silky in there as well. So you can check this out over at TESPA. Of course, we also have the CSL going on, another collegiate league. It's going forward. It looks like they're in about the top 8 right now. And again, a lot of these same players playing in both leagues. We have Silky, we have Suppy, a.k.a. Superior Wolf. He's generally the dominator of college StarCraft 2. The Riddler, Tesla, etc. Definitely check that out over on EG Xeno on Twitch TV. All right, the Blazing SC2 Series Season 1. This is that Taiwanese Africa tournament. And they finally finished up the group stage. It took quite a while. It's been going on since February, and we're almost to April. But they are there into the top 8. Looks like we have Sue vs. Keen, Innovation vs. Ragnarok, by Stork against Solar, and Hurricane against Lennox. So definitely a very stacked tournament. You can check that out on Africa TV as it continues forward. On April 8th is going to be the finals. So that's going to be ending pretty soon now. All right, the Clash Community Series, casted by Roddy and hosted by his team Clash, is continuing. Looks like we had Lil Kanan beat Space Marine in the finals. Starting to get some pretty big names in there, but of course you can't enter this if you made the round of 32, I believe it is, in a WCS event. So it's a point limit. So definitely check that out over on Clash's website. This should be no news to anyone. Eric has won his 7th Sentimiento Latino tournament in a row. I feel like half of the news for the past few weeks has just been about Eric winning all the tournaments. And we'll talk more about that in a minute, but definitely a tournament that gets a lot of players playing in it each week. So you can check that out. If you're interested, look at the show notes. Olima League continues forward. Always plug in this tournament. Fantastic tournament. Check out their Patreon. For $5 a week, you get a huge replay pack, the best replays that you can consistently get. And happy 5th birthday to Olima League. They have had so many tournaments at this point. They're up in like the 150s, I think, at this point for how many tournaments they've had. But Zest took out Creator 3-0 in the finals. Just a ridiculously stacked tournament. Look at this. Cure, Zest, TY, Creator, Gumio, Patience. My God, Solar, Special, Fantasy. Okay, well, I'm not going to read the entire thing. I almost did, but just a sick amount of good players. Check it out, twitch.tv/Olima League. Of course, they have their Patreon, and Maynard does a lot of casting of it, as well as Wardy. All right, the Cybergamer OS LPL StarCraft 2 Challenger Season 1. Probe ended up winning over Scyther. That is not a picture of Scyther next to Probe. Not sure who that is, but cheers to him as well. I guess he probably played in the tournament. But yeah, check that out. Probe, definitely a strong player. The OS scene has quite a few. Going forward, Take TV's Lenovo Legion. You see a lot of very high-end players playing in this. Looks like groups A and B have finished up this week with Harstem and a laser winning. Look at that, Harstem even over Raynor. So really bringing it. The next couple groups, March 28th and March 29th, the next couple days, have some of the big names in them as well. Players like Lambo, Nurcio, Euthermal, and Petit Drogo. So definitely check that out over on Twitch TV/Take TV. All right, I'm going to talk about a tournament Eric didn't win, but he got into the finals of. It is the Pizza Pie Bi-Weekly. B joins the scoreboard. Of course, we don't see anyone matching Starkiller yet. Maybe in about 20 weeks we can, but not quite yet. Check it out. Pizza Pie Bi-Weekly, as always. Casted over at twitch.tv/ColtTerran. All right, we also have within our general transmissions the OSC weekly schedule. There is so much coming up. The Beast Weekly Cup number 17, Pizza Pie Season 1, Tournament 6, OSC Melee number 73, et cetera, et cetera. I can't read all of them, but there is just a huge amount. If you're just interested in watching or playing in tournaments at all, you definitely got to check out this graphic. All right, the ICFR Challenge looks like we have the same one still as last week here from Pig, but it looks like the top 3 most liked ICFR videos by June 1st will receive $300 total, which is, I guess, $200 for first, $100 for second, and nothing for third. Glad that we listed that. Check it out over on Pig's Twitch and YouTube. We have the OCE Sea Spring 2019 WCS Challenger qualifier coming up on April 6th. A lot of top-end players from the region. Not exactly sure who will be casting that, but you can probably check that out on the WCS ANZ channel on Twitch. Michigan State Collegiate Invitational is coming up on March 30th, just a couple days from now. We've been talking about it each week. If you want to watch names such as Young Jiddle and Hunter Freak, this is the tournament for you. You can follow MSU Starcraft on Twitter or check out their Match Arena page. All right. The Esports Moment interviews the Starcraft casters Pig and Maynard behind the scenes at IM Katowice. We have the links to that in here. A couple of fantastic casters with lots of passion and knowledge. So definitely something you can check out. One final entry into the upcoming Chinese Team League, it looks like. It's called Team 8th 1. It's going to be comprised of a Chinese player named Wanted, and then, of course, Patience and Impact. So not sure about Wanted, but Patience and Impact, both very underrated players in the StarCraft 2 pro scene. That's going to be a really cool team league coming up. If you haven't heard about it yet, you've been living under a rock. A lot of players have been joining those Chinese teams, getting ready for this. April 14th through June 12th. I'm sure we'll be doing a lot of reporting on that in the future. ESPN right now has something called Esports 64 Bracket. Who's your favorite pro personality or streamer? We have a few people in there. That is not our machine, unfortunately. It is the Counter-Strike one, but Smix is in there, Red Eye. Of course, he's done a lot of StarCraft in the past. And Cyril. Well, I mean, that's cool. You guys can go and vote for that if you would like. I got my own little opinion on when people do things like this. I don't know. They're like, hey, if you get like all these people from different games and put them together, then you'll get all the hits from all the games and it's like, this is actually a pretty meaningless thing that they're putting together here. But if you're interested in it, go and vote for your favorites. I think they definitely could have put a few more Overwatch League players in here. I mean, damn, what the hell? Only Cyril, though, for StarCraft. Cool. Anyways, if you want to check that out, check it out over on ESPN. All right. Learn Muta and Ling build from a Korean pro gamer. Looks like there is a subtitled video by Ragnarok where he's going to teach you a build. Stuff like this, guys, is so invaluable. Like this is, wait, is that the right word? Invaluable? Does that mean lacking value or really valuable?
So valuable.
Very, very
So valuable?
Yeah.
It's really valuable if you want to be good at the game. Wow, I'm not even good at words, and it's my job. Anyways, check this out from Ragnarok. He is top 16 on the Korean ladder right now, so he's a really, really strong player. Hasn't had the greatest results, but you definitely will learn so much from watching that. Looks like Mana has tweeted out that he is back in London at the DeepMind office once again, helping them. This is so exciting to see the Alpha Star program. They're continuing to work with TLO and Mana. I can't really name a couple players better to help them out and think critically on this and test that out. So very, very exciting stuff. I can't wait to see what comes of it. So thanks to Mana for posting that and letting us know. All right. From there, we're getting into Brood War topics. So maybe we'll chill on that and get into actually talking about it. That's this week in StarCraft 2. But now it's time to talk about this year and next year in StarCraft 1. All right. Hey, that was actually pretty quick. I'm pretty happy with how that went. Anyways, I mean, there's actually like a lot to talk about with StarCraft. I feel almost overwhelmed because we never really have Brood War guests on here. So it's generally me just kind of speed running stuff at the end of the show. But, I want to start with kind of like a big picture thing here, right? Because I know all three of you guys have played StarCraft 2. You've watched StarCraft 2. You're aware of it's a great game and all that. But all of you decided after trying StarCraft 2 to come back to StarCraft 1. And I'd love to hear from you guys. What exactly is it about StarCraft 1 that kind of drew you in? Because I think that if we start talking about this, maybe we can figure out how to get more people to check out StarCraft 1 again. But tell me, guys, why did you choose StarCraft 1 over StarCraft 2? Let's start with you, Qikz.
I guess for me, it's kind of weird. I actually played StarCraft 2 from the beginning of Wings of Liberty, halfway through Heart of the Swarm. And the major thing for me, and this is kind of a weird thing, but I am a huge fan of having like buried maps. And I always felt with StarCraft 2 that the maps kind of, due to the way the game was designed, and it just kind of always funneled the maps in a certain direction. And it wasn't necessarily a bad thing for StarCraft 2, because for StarCraft 2's game mechanics, it worked perfectly. And I know it's actually a lot different now, but that was kind of like the main thing for me. And StarCraft 1 was kind of like the first major game that I just fell in love with. And I think it felt right to come back to it.
That's really interesting that you mentioned that map thing. So I take it you're not a big fan of MOBAs or Warcraft 3.
No, Warcraft 3 I kind of like, but I like it more because of the personalities rather than the maps and things like that. But with StarCraft 2, it was mainly the map thing, and I played when the meta was quite stale as well. I think when I finally quit was when sort of Infested Broodlord was the thing that everybody did, and I felt it's so frustrating to play against the Terran that I kind of just went and played Brood War again. Even though it wasn't very good, I found it a little bit more enjoyable. But StarCraft 2 is still a great game.
So you were frustrated playing Terran in StarCraft 2, so you went back to Terran in StarCraft 1.
I'm a massive...
Nyoken, does that make much sense?
That doesn't make any sense.
Speaking of which, of course, well, guys, however much people think that StarCraft 2 Terran is difficult in the matchups, believe me, us StarCraft 1 Terrans are pretty salty about it as well. Nyoken, what about you? What is it? Why did you decide to return to StarCraft 1? Because I know you actually played even at a professional level in StarCraft 2 at the very beginning.
Yeah, so I was on Evil Geniuses, and the whole reason I got on Evil Geniuses was because they were planning for a StarCraft 2 game. And so it came out, and I didn't like it the same way I liked Brood War. Like my first experience with Brood War, this is an actual story. I went to my friend's house. I saw him playing it. I played it for 30 minutes. I asked my grandma to come pick me up because I wanted it so bad. An hour later, I asked her to come to take me to the store and buy it. And it was in like October. And she said, "Can't you wait until Christmas?" I said, "No, I'm going to use my own money." I bought it when I was 12 years old. And so like whenever I played StarCraft 2, I couldn't help but compare it. I just didn't get the same feeling as Brood War. And if we want to talk specifics, like a lot of the maps back then were very dark. I can't remember exactly which ones. Metropolis, and there was some other 4-player map that they were very dark. And then with units clumping up so tightly together, it's hard to tell how big an army was with 3D and stuff like that. So I found that also very difficult. Also, banelings, you like run over one baneling, your whole army dies. So it was completely different from StarCraft 1. So I ended up, dropping StarCraft 2. I quit for a long time. And then when Remastered got announced, I came back and it was like coming home, right? It's just, you can't explain it. It was perfect. So I'm very thankful that Blizzard remade Brood War.
All right. Zero, how about you? What made you return?
So I've been playing for in StarCraft 2 for like, I think maybe half a year, and actually it was pretty nice, but it was like with a first love. I was just falling in love in Brood War, and I liked the effort I used to play in Brood War. I used to use all the mechanics, and when I started playing StarCraft 2, I felt like I had this feeling like maybe it's too easy, like because you can select all the hatcheries, and I like to click all 7 hatcheries, 7 hotkeys, Control 1, Control 2, Control 3, and stuff. So I liked using all the mechanics and stuff, and I think like it was like 2009, 2010, and it was out after the best era of StarCraft Brood War, for me at least. So it was like I went for StarCraft 2 because I thought I will be able to achieve something, but after like this few months of playing, I decided that I will focus on my studies. So it's like I really liked StarCraft 2, but I felt like StarCraft Brood War is just the better game for me. So I decided to stay with it, and like Nyoken said, after coming out of StarCraft Master, I decided I can sit and do nothing. It's time to go back. It's the best time.
All right. Yeah, definitely StarCraft Remastered breathing a lot of new life into StarCraft 1, but overall, the like the StarCraft 1 foreigner scene, the non-Korean scene in Korea, guys, it's so big right now. Like, I know that you guys watch all the shows and stuff, but like, believe me, it is big, right? I'll be on the subway, people are watching Flash's stream on their phone and stuff. It's really cool at the moment. But the foreigner scene, like, I mean, it's not tiny, but it's really it doesn't compare at all to the StarCraft 2 foreign scene. And I wonder what you guys think, like how to get more people into StarCraft 1, whether that's playing or watching or what, because StarCraft 2 has a great large viewer base. And it's not that StarCraft 1's viewer base isn't that big, but definitely the player base is a little bit lower. What are you guys' thoughts on this?
I mean, for me, just in terms of there are sort of initiatives, but a lot of the problem that the Brood War scene has, and it's something I've been trying to work on, is it's impossible to find information about it. Now, I know we use Team Liquid as a hub still, which, I mean, StarCraft 2 stopped doing that ages ago. They've moved to Reddit and Twitter. And it's like you announce like a Brood War event, and it's like, well, how do I actually market this to people? Like, how do I let people know that this is even happening? Because unless you know Team Liquid exists already, you're not going to go looking for it because there's no reason to. So part of the thing I've been trying to do is try and move people into Twitter to try and get people sharing things, get more people posting stuff on Reddit as well. Because even the Warcraft 3 Reddit has been a massive, massive thing for their scene, just to sort of share all their info, share the videos and things. And just overall it helps. And there's also sort of initiatives like the Coach Pupil League, and they're really, really good for getting sort of newer players or players even like me who have been playing. I've been playing since 2008. I'm still bad. Like, I can get help in those from better players than me. And it's just trying to figure out how exactly to get more people to know about it. That's the major hurdle, I think, that the Brood War scene has.
Would you suggest then that you guys, like, well, I mean, specifically you guys are basically making most of the content in Brood War right now for the foreign scene. So this is almost on. I'm like, okay, so what are you guys going to do about it? Do you think that like there should be a separate Reddit? Because it feels like Brood War and StarCraft 2 do use the same Reddit for the most part. I know that there's a Brood War one, but it's not very active. And most of the Brood War stuff doesn't go very high on the StarCraft 2 Reddit, but sometimes it does, and that brings really good views, obviously.
Yeah, like I made a clip once of there's another caster who does like CPL stuff called Chessy, and I clipped his stream once because he was streaming with a cold, and he got his mute clump got irradiated or something, and he was complaining about irradiate so much that he started coughing. And I just made like this dumb meme clip, and it was top of StarCraft 2 Reddit for ages, well, just StarCraft Reddit, I guess. So, thing is, there is content. It's just people need to share it more. Like I noticed when you watch, say, a StarCraft 2 stream, you've got tons of people clipping funny things, clipping good moments in games and things, and that just doesn't happen in Brood War streams. Like I can have like a six hour STPL cast or something, and there'll maybe like one clip, and it's like I'll do my best to try and clip the bits that I think are good, and then I'll put the VODs up on YouTube and everything. But obviously, there's a limit of stuff that I can actually post because I don't want to spam the Reddit. So it's just trying to get more people involved in creating, or at least sharing content more than creating it.
Would you guys agree that this is a like kind of big hurdle right now for StarCraft 1 in the foreign scene?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything Qikz said. It's just so hard to bring people in. Also because the game's 20 years old. A lot of times I sit in Twitch chat and I see comments like, "Wow, this game's still going." So how do you find those people that want to watch Brood War but they don't know that it still exists? Like I like what Blizzard did with BSL and STPL. They put it in the launcher that hey, STPL is running and BSL is running, because people, when you have to load the launcher, right? So if you play League or Overwatch, if you play Overwatch or StarCraft 2 or those types of games, you're going to see it. So we need more advertising like that. I agree with the Reddit, the Reddit thing. Like the Brood War section is just not as active as the StarCraft, but every time I see a Brood War post, it gets kind of just like, it plummets down the most recent points post because everybody's all about StarCraft 2. I don't know. It's hard. I think STPL and BSL have been doing a good job because I'm pretty confident that BSL last season was hovering around like 300, 400 viewers. But this season, the finals, I know we got over 550 viewers. So that's like a 30% increase. So that's really good. So I hope it continues to go up, but I don't know exactly how you're going to draw those people like that. They like Brood War, but they don't know that it's like still exists. It's still going on.
What do you think on it, Zero?
I think it's like bringing viewers is one thing, because like bringing viewers, there are a lot of people who used to play Brood War, so now they just need to know that the good tournaments are happening and they just need to watch. But bringing people to playing is another thing. So just as Qikz said, this new page or a page where all the StarCraft Brood War fans would gather would be nice, because like I think if someone would like to start playing Brood War, it would be good for him just to first get to know what the scene looks like. Because if you will download, like buy a Brood War or buy a remaster and start playing, you will be just crushed at the beginning. It's like I asked my friend once who didn't play for 10 years, and I said to him that just play like few ranked games at the beginning. It should like match the better opponents for you, and he just got crushed 5-0 because it's so hard to start at the beginning. The level is so high, so it's good if people would like have a place where they would meet and maybe just start practicing before going to ranked and be encouraged, because it's really hard to start, but after you're starting, it's amazing. It's really good to compete on this higher level, but it would be good to have this maybe page where everyone would share their comments and maybe help each other with starting, because it's the hardest thing to do in Brood War. It's like I assume everyone likes to win, and at the beginning on Brood War you never got to get to win.
It's very true. Well, to be honest, like 20 years later, trust me, you still don't get to win. The game, like it kind of resonated with me while you returned to the mechanical aspect that you mentioned before. But yeah, that's also kind of why I think it is hard for these newer players, right? It's like, oh, do you know how to play the piano? Okay, good, because you have to do that while you play this video game. It's so ridiculous in that way. But so all of you are kind of talking about the difficulty in advertising what is going on, and how it's like, yeah, the StarCraft 2, right? It's most about StarCraft 2. We do have Team Liquid. Is this not really up to snuff? It's not doing a good job, or?
The big problem with Team Liquid is mainly just people, unless you already know about it, in which case you're going to be looking at it anyway. like you're not going to see it. The thing with Reddit and Twitter is when someone retweets something, if they've got 10 followers, they may not know anything about Brood War, but their 10 followers will finally know that your event exists, or they'll see something about it. Whereas if you just post a TL thread, I mean, all my tournaments end up in TL threads anyway, because it's a good place just to collate information, but it's definitely not the best way to get eyes to it. At least I don't think anyway.
Yeah, I guess it's a pretty standard amount of people going there. The people that go to Team Liquid, like I check Team Liquid every day for Brood War stuff, and it's
me too.
Yeah.
It's I think for now it's most important page for Brood War. Team Liquid. I don't think there is one where you can find more information about Brood War, because people are active there, and if you if you have like a post where like if the post have few thousand views, it's like it's still pretty good advertisement, I would call it.
Yeah, Team Liquid is obviously the #1 resource, but if you're trying to find new people, so I'm just imagining if I was new to the game, like I buy it, where would I go? I would go to the Battle.net forums, right? Or somewhere like that. But I don't see often like links to Team Liquid there, so people aren't going to know about it. And if you don't know about Team Liquid, since that kind of branches off about to everything, like the Foreign Brood War Discord channel, like CPL. So if you're a new player, you're not going to be very good. So you're going to get crushed, like Zero was talking about. And if you're getting crushed, like 5-0 as soon as you start, and then it's going to continue to lose. You're probably going to lose like 50 games in a row before you find somebody at your level, because that's just how hard StarCraft is. People are just going to quit. So yeah, I don't know. I would say Battle.net needs to advertise Team Liquid, but I know that would be a conflict of interest, right? So I don't know. It's a bit difficult.
Are there any other ideas for how to grow it for the foreign scene?
Well, I like the CPL idea. If you know about it, it's great.
Can you just explain CPL a little bit for people who don't know?
So since I don't do CPL, maybe I'm off here, but I'm pretty sure you have a team of coaches. You join a team, and there's X amount of coaches, and they'll help you like review replays, get games, and because you're in a team, you can play against other players. And then there are CPL matches, like team versus team, essentially like Pro League, where you have a team versus team, everybody plays games, and you kind of just increase your skill like that. And I know a lot of players have gotten a lot better. There's a few, like for example, there's a player named Tim. When I met Tim was around B rank, and now Tim is like legit very close to S, or is S. So he's increased his skill a lot. And for those that don't know, S versus B, that's a huge jump, a massive jump. That's not something like, well, if I play really hard for a week, I'm going to go up, that type of level. That's like a big commitment. And that was a very big skill jump for him. And that can't happen on your own. You got to have help, whether you're watching FP VODs or something like that. You have to have help. So that's a very good resource. And what's nice is you find players that are near your level, not necessarily your level. You might be slightly lower, which is one of the big hindrances that I see in chat a lot, is I can't find someone my level. Like they just don't exist. So yeah, I think CPL is a great initiative. I wish we had it, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But,
with a Jadong or Boxer or maybe Yellow, I don't know, or someone who teaches us how to play it would be excellent.
I think that's one of the major things about the Korean scene, and why there's so many more newer people coming into the Korean scene. If you think about it, when you're in Korea, like all the pro players have got so many different guides that they can all understand. So it's super easy to like watch those, and then you get kind of a basic understanding of what to do, because it's so active as well. So that definitely does help. And there is like so many different online leagues in Korea that everyone knows about, because all of the big names are talking about them as well. And that's kind of how the foreign scene differs from the Korean scene, I guess.
Yeah, they do have all those streamers now, right? So go ahead.
Yeah, of course they have all those streamers. 10 years ago, to get an FP VOD of Flash or any pro, that didn't happen. You would have to like there'd be some under the table stuff going on to get that. Like, so to have this resource, you can boost your skill a lot, but for new players, you can't go straight to watching a pro because you flat out can't do it. So it's good, but there's still that gap where you're not targeting the new players. So like, I also have that problem where I release a couple build orders, but then I get a comment like, well, it's too difficult. Like, can you make a lower level guide? It's hard to do that. So there needs to be more lower level content, more higher level content also, other than myself that has made a few guides. I know Scan made a few guides, and he's kind of the bridge between Korea and English speakers. So that's nice of him. And there was also that Team Liquid initiative where they're translating the pro videos. But again, there's still no like mediocre level guides or lower level guides.
There is one person making them at the moment, and that's Elmaster. He posts them up on, I don't know if he posts them on our Starcraft, but I know they're definitely on our Brood War. He just makes like really short 5-minute guides on really basic mechanics. And that's definitely what I think we need more of, because they're a lot easier to get into in bite-sized chunks. Because I know that Day 9 did his new series, like I think it was like over a year ago at this point. And a lot of people I tried to show it to, their problem was it was just a little bit too long, because to watch the whole episode, it was like an hour at a time, and loads of people don't have that time to watch it. So having nice short guides is really cool.
Yeah, and I was like, I wanted to talk that I made this like with BSL. Everyone knows about Pro League. Everyone are talking about the Pro League, about the best players who are playing. But we actually have like 2 more leagues. It's the Gosu League and Chobo League, and it's like my way to try to encourage people to newcomers to Brood War, because like we are trying to aim just like as Nyoken said, just to aim people with the same skill, just to be able to participate against each other and see how great it is to like participate in the tournament, because it's different thing to play in Radar and different thing to belong to some community, to belong to some group of people who are the similar skill. So like the CPL initiative is also great, and it's working pretty fine. So yeah, the coaches idea is maybe the way to go. Try to find more popular coaches who would encourage people. Like if someone is playing StarCraft 2, it's definitely 10 times easier to go and start playing StarCraft Brood War. Just like if you are playing Brood War, go to StarCraft 2 and you will be on probably master level in 1 day or something like that.
Actually, this is kind of a good thing to bring up. Like, it's the weirdest thing that I see in channels all the time. If it's a Brood War stream or a StarCraft 2 stream, people will be talking disparagingly about the other game, you know, and be like, oh, that game's too old and too clunky, or, you know, Brood War players will be like, oh, that's too stupid and too easy, or something like that. And obviously that shit's all silly, but how would you guys like talk to a StarCraft 2 person that hasn't really put any time into Brood War, but kind of has this mentality that it's like, oh, why would I want to fight against the game? Like, how would you convince someone like that? Because the thing is, most of the people that watch the Pylon Show, I think, are mostly StarCraft 2 players. But the thing is, I know if they actually sat down and played StarCraft 1, they would enjoy it as well. So what do we tell those people? Stop being a dummy? Is that,
I don't have an answer. Like, I feel like you're either just gonna like it or you're not. I can't say, like, I can't tell you should like this. If you don't, it's just how it is. I can compare it to programming. I know nobody programs here, but I like web design programming, and that's different than desktop programming. I can't explain it. I just like it better. I don't have a good answer. I mean, I like StarCraft 2. It's just not Brood War for me. If StarCraft 2 came out when StarCraft 1, or at the same age when StarCraft 1 came out for me, I would probably play StarCraft 2, but it just wasn't the case. I just prefer Brood War because I'm used to it.
Okay.
Yes, if I was going to say something, I tried to explain this to a couple of people I met at BlizzCon, but it's like, the thing with Brood War is it does seem really, really difficult when you start up, and yeah, it is a difficult game, but so is StarCraft 2, because there's a lot of people in StarCraft 2 that are still in like Gold Division, or I know Diamond, I think, is the biggest division in StarCraft 2 compared to anything. And most of it, similar to StarCraft 2 as Brood War, it may feel difficult, but when it starts to click with you, and when you start realizing, hey, I'm actually improving, it just feels so unbelievably rewarding. And when you play, you get like this weird sense of adrenaline where you get so into it, and in a way that's what makes it so hard, because your brain just kind of melts into the game and you're like, oh my god, I need to do all this stuff. But when you finally realize, hey, this is actually working for me now, just that feeling is just so good, especially if you get a win. Even if you don't win or you've had like a really close game, it's just great.
I think like the best StarCraft 2 players came from Brood War. So if someone wants to be good in StarCraft 2, they should maybe play Brood War just to get to know how the StarCraft 2 get created. Because I think it's the basics are the same. There are basically few things which are changed. They are adjusted to different viewers, because it's always like 20 years difference. So of course people want to play in different games, but StarCraft 2 is also a great game. But overall, I think like playing Brood War, it costs you nothing, but it can increase your StarCraft 2 skill too, I think.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, actually. Like I played both games, and when I started playing Brood War again really heavily, and then went back to StarCraft 2, my macro was just better, because it's, you know, you have to do everything kind of manually within StarCraft 1, which again, like that mechanical aspect, I think is what Qikz is talking about, where it just, when you start improving, it feels so good. It's like you just, there's something about being able to hit a couple macro rounds and you're like, oh my god, I made this game go smoothly. And it's so difficult to do, but when you do it, it's just a very rewarding feeling, right? It's like taking off a Band-Aid or something. All right. Talking about this, there is a subject I wanted to talk about in regards to the foreign scene. I don't know if this fits here perfectly, but I'm just going to bring it up. You know, the StarCraft Remastered obviously has been really good for the game, I would say, right? It's brought a lot of people back. It's kind of exciting. It works on PCs now. I tried a few years ago to install Brood War on my PC, and it was like, okay, this doesn't work. I don't know what I'm doing here, because it was just such an old game at that point. But obviously Remastered, everyone can play it, pick it up, just queue onto the ladder. But the latency is a little bit different from what we all used to use with the Chaos Launcher and all that, right? We used to all, no matter where you are on Earth, for the most part, you'd have pretty good latency, be able to play Korean players and all that. Right now, that's not really the case. I would say, you know, there's, like, within Korea, I can queue up in 2 seconds and get basically LAN latency games. But for you guys, especially you guys in Europe, and to a lesser extent, Dan, you in America, it's not quite like that, right? It's the queuing brings you into players that you're closer to, so that you get better ping. But with a smaller player base, that gets hard, especially when you get a little bit better, because there's going to be a lot of mismatches. And thus, a lot of people use VPNs to get to Korea and play. What do you guys think about this in general? Like, is it the frustration levels and all that?
It's not great, and I know there's been a lot of people that kind of came back and then actually left again. Like, I know one of the problems Mana had when he actually started playing Brood War again, when StarCraft Remastered came out, was he was finding it really hard to get games, and the games he was getting were laggy. Now, part of that was caused by the fact the netcode when Remastered came out was actually really bad. Obviously, Matt Sherman and Grant Davies and the StarCraft Remastered team did a hell of a lot of work to make it a lot better. It's still not perfect, because especially, I know someone who lives in Finland, for instance, and it basically locks him into finding opponents pretty much from Russia or Finland, which, while there is a big Russian scene, it's not that big. And depending on when you queue, I know there's people like TT1 have trouble in the US as well, where they either get matched with Koreans and it's kind of laggy, or they get matched with someone called Mr. Pyle, who seems to be playing 24 hours a day. So it's like it's like there is definitely problems. It's not brilliant. The fact that a VPN is an option is great, but it certainly shouldn't be required. That is definitely something they need to work on.
Yeah, I don't know when they changed the matchmaking, but like maybe like a year ago, it was great. I could get everybody. Sure, I didn't get turn rate 24 with Koreans, but turn rate 16 is fine for me. I know the Koreans, of course, don't like it because they're not getting perfect latency, but at least you got games. Now, if I queue on NA, depending on the hours, like if I queue during normal NA work hours, you're not getting a game. If you are, you're sitting in queue for 5 minutes, and then you're going to play someone, and then you're going to replay them 5 minutes later because nobody else is queuing up. Also, the fact that the player base is so small, like Qikz pointed out, is if I'm a top level player and no other top level player is queuing, it's impossible to find a game, or you find a game and the gap is so big that it's not really even fun for either side. Like I queued at 2100 rank for like 10 minutes and I got a game versus an 1150 rank.
Oh my God.
And so we're talking about a 1,000-point difference, right? And I don't know, it's not like you see the rank when the game starts. So I'm playing it like it's a normal game, and I'm winning really hard. And the guy eventually writes something like, "What's your rank?" And I tell him my rank, and he's like, I forget the exact words, but he said something like, "This makes me like not even want to play anymore because it was such a huge difference. Like it's not even close. It's not 2100 versus 1800. Like there's no limit apparently on the gap.
Yeah.
But if you limit the point difference, then the top player is just going to sit in queue longer and longer and longer, and then they're going to quit. So there's a dilemma there where you can't accommodate everybody. Like you can't accommodate the Koreans because they want the top latency. You can't accommodate the top players all over the world because only certain times it's going to be good. Like if you were back living in the States and me and you queued, we would play each other. But now that you're over there, I can't queue you. So that, and let's assume there was no other players. Well, now I don't queue anybody. And then also
team sniping available for Artosis.
Yeah, and then also new players, right? The default rating is 1500, but they're not 1500 rating. They're going to be like 1000 rating or 500 rating. So unless there's other players that are also no queuing at the same time, they also can't find games. So there's this weird, I don't know. It's the matchmaking is weird. I wish they had left it how it was. I know that it lags sometimes. So personally, when the game goes turn rate 8, I just leave anyways and find another game. So it's not a huge waste of time if I waste a minute and instantly find another game.
Yeah, but I think they are working on this latency, and I've been actually thinking about it's a good business to do, like make some kind of VPN launcher, because still there are people from Europe who are playing against Koreans and they are using Korean VPN, and the latency is pretty fine. So actually, if there would be some program which you could use just to like get you the better latency if you are playing against different continent, it might work. But I don't know if it's possible. Maybe I should ask Qikz or Nyoken because they are with the program. Their program is, but I think there is like still a way to play against Korean, but it's a little bit more effort to do. If you want to practice against the best, it's possible to play on the latency which not makes you want to kill yourself.
Yeah.
So it's still possible, but actually the latency is a thing which also creates the strategies, because like if you are playing on turn rate 24, it's possible to play against Terran and play just Muta micro build, or play ZZZero and play 1 hatch 9 pull and try to micro Muta. But if you are playing on turn rate 12, you just need to think about going 3 hatch Hydra, because it's almost impossible to win with Muta and just to do anything. So yeah, the latency problem still exists. And it still exists even in casting, because it's impossible, for example, to cast the game between the Peruvian and the Russian player, and when Rapid is casting from Korea and Nyoken from USA, it would be nightmare for the players. So we have to deal with it somehow.
There is one weird thing about that. Now, Tupac, one of the mods on Team Liquid, I think he's one of the admins now. He's been around forever. Him and I think it was Rich were making, before Remastered came out, a launcher called Shield Battery, which kind of had better latency than IC Cup did. And the thing that Rich posted ages ago that a lot of people seem to forget is people think that IC Cup had great latency, but compared to what we have now, the equivalent of IC Cup is actually turn rate 12. And a lot of people just
Is it?
Don't believe that. Yeah, Rich even did the
I don't
math
believe it.
on all the latency and everything. Rich is like super programmer, so it's weird. I think there's a lot of, I mean, even me, like I used to play on IC Cup all the time, and when I was getting like turn rate 16 when they first added it, it felt so much smoother.
Okay, I think turn rate 16 is very smooth, but Nyoken, we were playing turn rate 12 literally yesterday. That did not feel like IC Cup, am I right?
Yeah, I think that probably it's closer to turn rate 16, but it's hard to argue with Rich because every time I read a post from Rich, it's like, how do you know this?
No, he's
he just knows everything.
He's the smartest human on earth, that's for sure. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, that's also another dilemma with the latency is like Zero said, is you're forced into certain builds. Right. So if I get turn rate, if I play Terran versus Zerg, I know what's coming. It's lurkers. And if it's not lurkers, it's ultras. So it makes it not fun for either side. I mean, it's fun for Terran because they're just going to sit there, but it's not fun for Zerg because they're not able to use the mutaplay. So,
well, I tell you, it's fun for all the foreign Protosses that VPN into me because they just send zealots at my base and then go gateway man. So that's a pleasure. Actually, you know, this is kind of an interesting thing to me because, yeah, there's these latency problems. I'm actually a little bit surprised that there's not more custom game practice going on in the foreign scene. Maybe I'm missing out on that a little bit, but at least back in the day, like before, even when we had IC Cup, there was a lot of custom games going on. Europeans and Americans playing with each other, you know, especially in time zones that were off for Koreans. And then people could play ladder during those fringe hours where they were awake at the same time as Koreans. So I look at the latency problem and I think about that. And then I also look at what you guys were talking about before, where there's no real community hub. And I kind of look at those two together, right? We used to have channels that people would just go to. If you were a foreigner and you were good at StarCraft, there were certain channels you'd show up in. Obviously, we used Team Liquid back then. Nowadays, there's Discords. We do have some that Matt was showing earlier from the community resources, where you can kind of find what Discord channels, like the Foreign Brood Warrior server. What do you guys think about this idea in general, though? Why aren't foreigners practicing more together and doing customs?
well, I know for a fact that certain ones do custom a lot. So, for example, Dragon, I know he almost customs exclusively. Like
he's a race picker too. He really needs.
Well, yeah, but also the IRK players, they also play a lot versus each other. But that's still an issue. If you're new, how do you get part of these games? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important to have like these discords, to have like these communities, because otherwise it's hard to find an opponent on Battle.net. So you should have a friend, someone in friendlies who you would like to practice, and actually the difference in skill is so huge. So you would it would be good for your players to find their practice partners on their level, that they will not be crashed or they will not win too easily. So. So actually, they're making some kind of like channels, like there was a channels on ICC Cup, like I think it was like A, B, C, D channels, and you would then you could find an opponent on these channels, the custom games. It's a good idea to do something like that, to like make this maybe like ask community to ask people just to join the certain channels to find the certain opponents to practice, because maybe in custom games the lag would be smaller than in the match than in ranked, than in matchmaking.
Yeah. There is a bit of another weird problem based on that as well, because I know there's like for anyone who doesn't know, the CPL we were talking about earlier actually has like a channel called CPL, and if you go in there usually during the day, you'll find someone to play with, and obviously they're CPL level, so they'll probably be your level. But the issue is part of it comes down to the fact they've still got the gateway split, because with the gateway split, you could go to CPL in, say, US East, and no one's in there, but there's like 5 people in there in US West, but you just wouldn't know because you've always played on US East, even though most people would always play US West or whatever. And I think like that's part of the problem with the channels, because it's almost like the player base is kind of small, and then because they're split across 4 gateways, it's even more split up than it needs to be. So that could be something that could help as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Also, this Battle.net launcher server.
Yeah,
I don't understand that at all. So I'll give an example that applied to me. So after the remastered event that we went to, Artosis, Draco had asked to play with me, and I messaged him to play. So obviously I'm on the Americas Battle.net server. He was on Europe. So I messaged him like, hey, do you want to play now? And I turn on his stream. None of the messages go through. But I didn't realize that until like a month later when I watched the VODs and Draco had already quit. So they need to combine at least that part into one, because like if I'm playing ladder and I play somebody and I want to message them, if they're on another server, they might be online and we might be on the same gateway, but I still can't message them. I don't like you.
Yeah.
Like me and you are friends on Battle.net, but unless I log into Asia, you're not on my friends list.
Mm-hmm. It's really weird because within the game itself, you can make your accounts and choose what server: Korea, US West, US East, Europe, and I think there's an Asia one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I ran into right when we first started practicing all together, the media practice days, that you have to go into the actual launcher and switch the server there. So it is very confusing. It would be great if that could be cleaned up, and because the fact that there's like 5 in the game and you think that would be enough. No. You have to log out of the whole thing and utilize the launcher to switch it as well. And I know exactly what you're talking about because I was having a hard time too with that.
Yeah, so they definitely go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Okay.
I was going to say, yeah, they definitely need to do that, and they definitely need the ranking channels like iCup. That was great because when iCup was alive, you go into the C channel, there's like 100 people there. You go into B, there's 100 people. So you could find people your level for sure if they did something like that. They could have like a custom like ladder 2000, ladder 1500, ladder 1800 channels that people could just join. That would be a great idea. I liked that idea that Zero came up with.
Well, I mean, I hope that they fix the server thing and maybe there can be some more regular channels. Some people in the chat have been saying that there are some channels that people go to, and obviously the foreign Brood War Discord seem to be relatively active. A decent amount of people in there for sure. All right, kind of going forward here, I wanted to talk a little bit about the leagues going on, and especially the leagues that you guys are doing, because all three of you cast quite a bit and run your own stuff as well. Well, Qikz, let's start with you and STPL. Can you tell us a little bit about STPL, why you started it, what you're doing with it, how's it going, all that?
Yeah, so STPL, I mainly cast it with Rapid 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He casts with me at silly o'clock in the morning. I think it's 5 a.m. at the moment because of daylight savings time and everything. And I don't know how he does it, but he like his passion just drives him like an insane amount. And it's been running now.
I got to mention real quick, one of you guys, I forget if it was Zero or Qikz, and when I messaged you guys, I'm like, listen, PylonShow's on at a terrible time, but I want to invite you. And one of you was like, well, I mean, Rapid's always casting with me, so I guess I got to figure out a way. Okay.
Yeah. I even asked him because I got the timing mixed up and thought it started at 2 a.m. my time. So I was like, hey, Rapid, like, how do I sleep before, then wake up in time? But at the end, it ended up being 12:30, so it's not too bad. But this is my second season of STPL, technically. The first one was in 2015. And it was kind of different because everyone kind of played under a pro gamer ID, and so it made organizing it impossible because no one could talk to each other. But I started it again last March. I did a few sort of weekly cups for a while. I think I did about 14 of them. And I was like, I enjoy this, but casting for 7-8 hours a time was really, really difficult because just finding the time to do it was hard. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to give my team league a shot again. Brood War. Back when I first got into it, I got into it because of Pro League, and I've always loved team leagues. I said a little bit before that basically team leagues I get more involved in, and kind of the thing that drove me to keep it going was the fact that so many good teams signed up that I just wanted to keep doing it more and more because every week the games are getting better and better as people are getting more and more used to the weird maps I was throwing at them. And I mean, to me, they weren't weird maps because I used to watch Pro League all the time. So I saw like millions of games on each of these maps. But for a lot of people, they'd come from playing nothing but Fighting Spirit on IC Cup for like 6-7 years. And suddenly they're on Troy. And they're like, well, how do I play this game? But things have improved. One of my major drives was always I wanted to make an amateur league look professional. So I've always put a ton of effort into trying to make the production as best I can. So I designed an overlay system in Java, which links up to an SQL database to like throw all the stats on screen and everything. And I've been making more video content now. So I think it's going pretty well. Viewer numbers are going up. I cast Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2100 CET. And yeah, it's been slowly improving. There's been a few breaks over the year for different reasons, but we're coming up to the end of round 4, which is the final round of season 1. And then it's going to be like the big grand final playoffs. So it's going to be cool to get into those. It's been a long time coming. It's been over a year now.
And that stuff is all on your Twitch and YouTube?
Yeah, it's all on my Twitch, YouTube. I know it's in the show notes as well. So if you do want to check out that stuff, I think on my YouTube now there's been over 500, I think it is, individual games played in the SCPL over the past year. Wow. So plenty of content, which is cool.
Yeah, no doubt. Big league going on. I would say the biggest team league by far in the foreign scene, right?
There is BWCL as well. That's been going on for.
But does that even have broadcasts? Does BWC have broadcasts?
It gets.
Because I never hear it.
Yeah, they don't really make a massive deal out of it. I've obviously been trying to push STPL as like a big league with a lot of production, but there is a guy called Vincent TV who he's a German guy his English is really, really good. He casts a ton as well. Like he casts the BSL Choba League, I think it was, last season. He does BWCL. He's just done tons. So he's also doing a lot for the scene. He doesn't get much recognition purely because a lot of people don't know he exists. But he's a really cool guy as well. So check out his channel as well.
Cool. And, obviously very important to have team leagues out there. Team's a big part of the identity within StarCraft 1. I would say more so than in StarCraft 2. I don't know. It just has always been, team leagues have been important, and kind of having those players to play with. I guess because we didn't have a ladder back in the day, it was more important to have teammates and friends to play with regularly. But of course, the kind of heart and soul of a 1v1 game is the 1v1, and the big individual league BSL Zero. Can you tell us a little bit about this? Because I tell you, this is one of the coolest 1v1 tournaments that StarCraft 1 has ever had in the foreign scene.
So actually, I started with BSL in 2013, and it was only for Polish people. And then when I started, I wanted to make, because there was like some nation wars, and I wanted to make Polish people be active and do well in this nation wars. So I decided, how do I get them to play a lot and be in good shape? And I decided that I will make an ICC Cup team, and I tell everyone, just like TSL or ASL style, just to join the team and start playing, start laddering a bunch together. And they started, and there was like over 60, over 70 people who've been playing only from Poland for these 2 seasons. And even on second season, I made like the second league for the first league was for the best players, and second league for the worst players, for amateurs. And it was the idea. And then when the StarCraft Remaster came out, I just started to make, like, I wanted to make a little bit more professional. I opened for the whole foreigner scene, and I made it almost international because it's outside Korea. So every single country can play beside Korea, and it's like from the 4th season, I came back to this ladder idea, and I wanted to make it only for pro players. And then when I will just find the best players, I wanted to make a second league for this, how I call it, Chobo League. It's for the I wanted it to be for newcomers, but it turns out that there is much more good players in Brood War. So that's why in season 6 we made there is like Pro League, Gosu League, and Chobo League. So actually in season 5 we have plenty of good players in Chobo League. For example, Mr. Nyoken came as a second place runner in Chobo League, and he's extremely good. He's super good. So it's I didn't want it to make like the situation when when newcomer is facing Nyoken, because he would be crushed. So that's why in season 6 we made a third league where the Pro League is for the best, the Gosu League is for the very good players, and the Chobo League is meant to be for these newcomers, for the people who just started playing. And to find there, because we have the Discord channel, it's like almost 600 people there, and we have the different leagues, and people can just meet each other and find their opponents, play against each other, maybe see the replays, because here we have the replays, the votes, so it's like pretty easy way to communicate. And there is also the Pro League, which is the main part of the BSL, and it's sponsored by Blizzard. The 5th and 6th season got sponsored by Blizzard, and I wanted to make it as good as it's possible to make it like for non-profitable league for Brood War, and I would like to make it more, but it's a huge effort, because, like, for example, for season 5 and season 6, I had to reserve every single weekend from it was November the 2nd until the March 24. The BSL 6 ended up in this Sunday, so I get almost like half year. Like every single weekend, every Saturday and every Sunday was reserved for the BSL streams. So it was a lot of effort to do. And now obviously I need a break, but yeah, it's really great to make this content for people, because people in Brood War are extremely nice, and I'm always telling to people that you are intelligent because you are playing Brood War. So it's like only smart people are playing Brood War. So it's like it's a pleasure to do this kind of tournament for this community, because like it's not like plenty of 15 years olds. It's like grown up, intelligent, adult working people who are playing Brood War. So it's very good to make a tournament for them.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see, especially considering everyone used to be kids, but now it is a lot of grown-ups playing. Although there are some young players in there for sure, but it kind of warms my heart. BSL kind of reminds me of TSL, the Team Liquid Star League, right? Where you make the tag, you play on ladder, you get your ladder rank that kind of seeds you into the tournament or qualifies you for the tournament. It's always exciting when the new BSL season starts, because the entire foreign scene gets so active on the ladder, which is really fun to watch the standings go up and down and all that as well.
And then the levels, the games are better when we have a players who play like 100 games on ladder just to qualify.
Absolutely.
And they are just in a better shape to play in a tournament, because if I would make open tournament, some Gosu player could come back, play 2 games, be eliminated, and he wouldn't show what he's capable of. But if he's forced to play 100 games in ladder, he's in better shape. He reminded himself why he loved Brood War, and now he can play longer and longer. So it's this is the purpose.
Oh, totally. You guys are definitely doing a lot to get that action going. Nyoken, I mean, you've been casting a lot of BSL and a lot of other things, but also putting together some show matches like NA versus SA, Europe versus NA and all this. What has your kind of experience been like working on these various leagues and casting and all that?
Well, those nation wars, that's credit to Zero. He's the mastermind behind that. But I mean, Bombastic Star League has been great. There's more viewers every time we do it, so that's fantastic. I don't know. I get asked to do a lot of things. I can't do them all. I'm also doing Africa Star League with Doc Holliday. That's been fantastic. And also, I agree with what Zero said. The community, now that they're older, they're a lot nicer. Like, I get a lot of nice comments where if this was 15 years ago, you would definitely not get the same comments. So I'm thankful for that. I'm also thankful that, Zero picked me to do Bombastic Star League. Like, he gave me a chance. Also, Sham 2 gave me a chance to do it. And now I'm casting it every week. So I'm always thankful for that. It's exciting. And I just love how BSL is getting bigger and bigger. And I have to say that Blizzard sponsoring BSL, that's a huge thing, because I can't remember a single tournament that Blizzard sponsored for Brood War, except for a very, very, very long time ago. Those original ladder tournaments, if you remember them, like with XDS Gur and players like that.
Yeah, it was like those, and then the Sandlot, which was a joke.
Yes. Well, it's been a long time, right? So I'm looking forward to the potential of BSL. I mean, I have thoughts in my mind of what could potentially happen, but I don't know if they ever will. Like, I wish this is what I would wish is if we have. I think BSL is in general like 3 months or trying to do that. Imagine if you had 4 BSL seasons. You have 4 different players. They all meet at BlizzCon for like a top 4. That would be amazing to me. I would love that. I would love that. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I don't know if that's possible, but I would love that. It would also give exposure back into Brood War on a main stage.
Yeah.
I love it. That's a great idea.
And also one of my ideas I would like to do in the future, if there will be some support, it would be great to send the best BSL player to Korea for KSL or RSL qualifications, just to play, maybe just for 2 weeks, just to let them adjust to the time zone. But overall, it's also I think it would be very interesting for people to see, like the best foreigner coming and face the Koreans, and maybe do some small of like video about it, how they're handling and stuff, the reporters. That's a good idea from my perspective.
That is, I don't think that there's anything more exciting within Brood War. You're literally describing when I went to Korea, what was like, that was almost my job in a lot of ways. It was like, you know, having a foreign pro gamer. It wasn't me, but you know, it was like Idra and Noni, Rhett. You know, it was just like there's nothing more hype than that, than to see the hometown of, you know, the rest of the world. There's 6 billion other people on Earth. Whoever is the best player out of that, try to go and qualify for Korean stuff. But you know, speaking of that, while we're on the subject, it seems like right now, right, there's definitely a lot of excitement within Brood War for the people who do play, the foreigners who do play and stuff. And there is a slow drip going to Korea right now, right? We have Cadenzi over here, quite a strong player, and she's a very popular streamer over here right now, playing in tournaments and whatnot. Eon Zerg has come to Korea. DeWalt just went home, right? DeWalt was out here for like 3 months. He's, for people who don't know these names, Cadenzi is one of the best women players on Earth and a very high-level Zerg player just overall that lives out here right now. DeWalt is one of the absolute best, I would say top 3 foreign Protoss, and he's a Russian player, and he was out here for about 3 months. Unfortunately, he came right in between ASL and PSL KSL qualifiers, so that didn't work out, but obviously got lots of great practice in. And Eon Zerg, I think generally considered the best Zerg, but definitely a top 3 foreign Zerg. I think just got out here and is going to be able to play some qualifiers. So what do you guys think about that? I mean, obviously running SDPL and BSL, these are the big things in the foreign scene. What do you think about the foreigners kind of trying to make their way to Korea and all that?
I think it's great. Like an example, DeWalt obviously just got back. When he was in Korea, I was watching a bunch of his stuff. Like he played a best of 7 against Kanata, who's one of my favorite players of all time, which was also really cool. And since he got back, he's played in the SCPL a few times. And just his level of play is just so much better. Like he was really, really good before, and he's got even better. It's crazy to see just how much he's improved. And someone like Eon Zerg, who, I mean, for a long, long time now, for about 3 or 4 years even, Eon Zerg has been in the 1 or 2 spot for Zerg. Like True Touch is the other one, who's a Polish Zerg. But Eon Zerg from Belgium is just, it's just insane. Like he keeps winning. Like there's another Polish player who's like arguably 1 or 2 in the best Protoss players in the world outside of Korea, called Bonith. And basically, Eon Zerg, the last 3 times they've met in SCPL, has killed Bonith in less than 5 minutes with a Ling Burst. So Eon Zerg is just like the ultimate aggression machine in Brood War, and seeing him be able to actually get more sort of the Korean mechanical aspect in his play is really exciting to me, because I think out of anyone, he's probably going to benefit the most, which is really cool.
And I remember I've been talking to Draco once, like it was like 10 years ago, and he told me that like the hardest thing to become a good player in Brood War, like is just like to get and practice for 8 hours a day, because it was just after he get back from Korea, and it's the hardest thing just to like convince yourself that it's possible to train 8 hours a day. And it's very impressive that Aeon was like, he was streaming like not every single day, but like 5 days, 4 days a week, and he's capable of practicing like almost like very regularly, and it's very, very important thing for him. So when he will go to actually he's there already, so in Korea he will have opportunity to practice even longer, even more regularly. So I think it's a good shot for him, and it's very impressive that he decided to do it. And I think even the world is coming back to the ASL qualifications. So
that would be great.
So we will have like two very good foreigner players representing the whole world in front of Korea.
Yeah, I look forward to see how well Eonzerg and DeWalt can do, because they're good. Like, they may not be 3,000 rank, but they can definitely qualify. I don't know how deep they would go, but there's potential for them to actually qualify. How often has it been like a realistic expectation that a foreigner can actually qualify? Some people would joke on Team Liquid, but there's a real shot that there's not just Eonzerg, not just DeWalt. There's a lot of foreigners. Well, maybe not a lot, but there's more than 2 that have a real shot of making it into ASL. They would have to have the games of their life to beat people like Flash and stuff, but they can definitely qualify. I think Eonzerg has games beating Zero recently. He's beaten Best. I know True Touch has also beaten Best. So, like, for sure, they can go
I feel
deep.
bad
So,
for poor Best, man.
Yeah.
so I
his
hope
weak PVZ always comes up as the example. Please
well,
go ahead.
for also an example, DeWalt beat Light, and then Light is honestly Light. When Light was coming up with C Shield back then, I thought Light was going to be the new greatest Terran. So I'm a big fan of Light, and he's always been great, but not ever number 1. He's always like 2, 3. So to beat somebody like Light, that's very impressive. So they are real contenders to make it in. I hope they do well, because I don't know. It's not like they're going to be over there for several years, right? They're only going to be there 3 months, and then they're going to have to turn around. So it'd be kind of unfortunate if they kind of bust out very quickly. But I hope they do well, and I hope everybody roots for them to do well, because that could be the beginning of something. All it takes is one foreigner to qualify. And then imagine if Brittany says, like, hey, you're great. We want you to come out, like with Condensi. And or what if we make a StarCraft 1 house, like No Regrets got going on? The 5 best, like Dandy, DeWalt, Bonneth, True Touch, Eonzerg. I mean, it's a little bit harder now with StarCraft 1 players, because, like we pointed out, StarCraft 1 players are older.
Yeah.
So they may have money now, but they're kind of in careers, whereas the StarCraft 2 players are younger. They're like out of college. They may be taking a break before they get into their later stages of Light. So I don't know if that would happen, but I hope that would happen. That would be a dream come true, to see them try and make it into ASL. Because if we look at StarCraft 2, what happened? Once foreigners started coming over, we had somebody win from the foreign scene with Cyril, which never happened since Gur, and I think it was just Gur, right? He's the only foreigner to ever win a big tournament.
Slayer won KBK, but
yeah. So my point is that if they have the opportunity to go over there, like, they could definitely close the gap, which has been unheard of in StarCraft 1.
Yeah, a good example of this is going back to the SCPL that I run. I know that Shamtu's been on here before talking about running leagues with Koreans. I know Zero specifically excludes Koreans. One of the things I've found in the SCPL is someone like Bjol, who's qualified for the ASL twice now. He's kind of bombed out in the round of 24, but played really good games for the most part. Like, there's people in the SCPL that are beating Bjol. Like, Bjol's not in the SCPL with his team, and he's unbeaten. Like, there's people like Medinho, who's a random player from Norway. Eonzerg beat Bjol. And the thing is, both of them, when they played against him, it wasn't like, oh, Bjol made a ton of mistakes, so they lost. Like, the Medinho game, it was a TBT. And Medinho just pulled Bjol apart. Like, I didn't know it was possible for a foreign player to do that to someone like Bjol, but he did. And if Medinho can do that, if Eonzerg can take down Bjol like that as well, I don't see a reason why they can't actually qualify. Obviously, they've got to get lucky with the brackets, but then when you look at the amount of players that actually sign up in Korea and they don't make it in despite being like one of the best players in the world just because they got unlucky in the qualifier bracket, I mean, that happens all the time. I mean, look back at Courage in like the 2000s, where obviously you had someone like Flash who came into his first Courage tournament and won, but there were so many players that are like considered gods of the game now that took ages to actually get the pro gamer license. So I think, especially Eon in these KSL qualifiers, if he gets a good bracket, I think he can make it in, which is really, really exciting.
I think it's definitely exciting. I like that the way the qualifiers are done now, anyone can enter. You mentioned the Courage tournaments and getting a pro license before. Like, foreigners couldn't even play in most of the qualifiers for most of the time because no one had pro licenses, and it was just so hard, right? Like, no foreigner ever won Courage, for instance. Closest was Noni, who went 1-2 in the finals, and it was, that was even gigantic to do. So it's cool that these guys get to kind of cut to the chase. And like, for instance, if you go to the ASL qualifiers, you can just go to 3 in a row. The thing is, every bracket has a legit pro in it, at least one. So it's hard, but you guys are definitely right that these guys have the amount of skill it takes where it's like they're not favored, but it can occur. It definitely can. It's a best of 3. Things can get crazy in Brood War like that. So talking about just kind of the tournaments, right? All these guys trying to come over to Korea and all that. Obviously, we have BSL, we have STPL. There's some other tournament type stuff going on, but what is something that you guys feel like is missing for competition in the foreign scene? Is there something that like you see and you're like, God, I wish we had this?
There's one thing for me, and it's actually kind of something I guess I'm kind of announcing now. Like, one of my favorite things back in Brood War was there was a thing called the MSL Survivor Series, and I'm kind of looking at that, but a different angle. Basically, the way the Survivor Series used to work was if you qualified into the round of 30, it was either round of 32 or round of 24 for any MSL, but you didn't win or you didn't get to the round of 4, you were seeded into this Survivor tournament. And another thing they did was there was this concept of the revenge van, and it used to be on OGN. And I used to watch like every episode I could somehow find, or like if it was on and it was being streamed and there was some guy live translating, usually like Supernova Maniac or something. What that was like, it was kind of like a king of the, well, I guess it's not the same, but you'd have like 1v1 games, there'd be like a little bit of beef there. It was kind of like a grudge match thing. The thing I'm kind of doing, which I thought has been missing for a while, is kind of like a King of the Hill tournament. So one of the things I'm adding to SCPL Season 2, and I'm going to do some show matches, the first of which is going to be Kanata versus Nalra. I've managed to get them to play a best of 5 for it, because they're 2 of my favorite players, so that's kind of cool. And basically, it's going to add on to the SCPL thing where people will sign up to the teams. Hopefully, you'll get more people playing in the teams. And then they'll sort of pick select maps each week, and they'll go 1v1 and see how it goes over a best of 5, and then they get more qualification points for the next SCPL season. So it's going to be cool to see if that's going to work out. But that's something I've kind of wanted to see for a while and just hasn't existed.
Cool.
I think it would be good also to have something like if the Korean scene would open themselves for the foreigners, and if we would have like really, just like Nyoken said, like for example on BlizzCon, the best foreigner versus the best Korean player, I'm sure that in like next 4 or 5 years, the Korean players would crush them. But if like the foreigners would know that something like that is happening, maybe that could encourage them for more practicing, just to be able to maybe have a show in BlizzCon stage or something like that. So also making it online, like if Britney would make his Team League, another season of his Team League, if he would allow like one team from the, like for example from the best foreigners to participate in it and just to face the Koreans, maybe it wouldn't be so similar level as these best Koreans, but it would be still entertaining, I think. And maybe they could even, the Koreans could treat it like it's the freak show. Let's show them. let's see how the people who don't know what StarCraft is are playing. Let's show them. So maybe it's possible to do something like that. So I think merging the two scenes, the foreigner scene and the Korean scene, is the future for Korean Brood War overall. But I think it's like still few months or few things to be done before that happened.
Okay. Anything you think, Nyoken, we're missing competitively?
I actually don't really think that, because there's a lot of Brood War going on right now. Bombastic Star League fulfills the tournament style, STPL fulfills Pro League style, and they're both great. There's also Brood War CL. There was Have At You for a long time. There's show matches constantly. There's a lot of stuff coming out of Brood War, so I don't think anything in particular is missing.
Okay, I'm the hill I always die on and am willing to is I feel like we need one LAN for foreigners. Like WCG itself kept the Brood War scene alive, in my opinion, for years and years and years. Like we were told that StarCraft 1 was a dead game since 2001. Literally, I remember people telling me in 2001, the game's dying, everyone leave, everyone get out. Yeah, okay, well, the 2019, here we are talking about it. But yeah, it's just like having even one LAN tournament. Like the thing is, I don't think prizes even matter. Like you guys mentioned, there's a lot of older players and stuff. You don't play Brood War for money. No one does that except for Flash. Okay, it's not a game that makes you money. It's a game that you play because you like to improve yourself and stuff. And the thing is, I think that's for me. That's always what kind of kept me in Brood War, is just that there was going to be a WCG every year. Yeah. And it's like, if you train your ass off, you get to go play maybe one, maybe two. If you're so good, you get 3 LANs in that year. Oh my God. And that would be like, that alone is enough. And I wish that we had any LAN, like anything official. Don't care about prize or anything. Like if DreamHack if they just announced a LAN, they're like, hey guys, in 8 months, we're having a LAN. Oh my God. I feel like everyone would practice so hard for that the whole time, because it's that deep competitive drive within Brood War players. But anything that comes out's an esport, but not the one that actually proved it can be an esport forever. I don't understand these esports orgs.
Yeah, you're right. It's like I've been also playing for Brood War, and there was World Cyber Games, and like everyone in Poland was so hyped about World Cyber Games. We have this networks forum where everyone from StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2 are gathering, and everyone wanted to be in World Cyber Games. It was like if you are in World Cyber Games and if you are in top 8 in Poland, it means you are really good. And if there would be some kind of LAN, like as you said, World Cyber Games just returned, but I think it's like made by Chinese people. So Warcraft 3 is there. We are still waiting for remaster, but it would be great to have this offline tournament. And that's a great idea. It would be amazing. So if someone is listening and have a lot of money, just do it.
Yeah. Just make a LAN tournament.
Yeah,
I'll be there. I promise. Like, I'm sure you'll get a lot of the top players.
The one thing they need to do is make sure that if they do it, I know why, like Zotac and ESL did invites, but I think a lot of people, especially I know in the NA scene, were a little bit disappointed with Zotac because they had so many invitees that a lot of the top players from North America didn't actually get to go. And I get why they did it, because if you put the bigger names in, like they got people like Draco back, which is really, really cool, and they're going to bring you the viewers, but then the actual people who have been playing the game forever get a little bit disappointed. So there needs to be a balance, but hopefully if there is like some kind of big LAN, there'll be like a qualification and everything as well. And obviously that takes a lot of work, which is, I guess, part of the problem. But it's definitely a really good idea. And if I had tons of money, I'd do it myself.
Oh, I know, right? If I was a millionaire, well, probably I'd have to be a billionaire. $1 million isn't that much, actually, but yeah. All right. Well, very good discussions on those topics. I want to talk about just a couple other things in accord to Brood War. I'm sure you guys have kept relatively up to date on all the new bugs that have been discovered, right? Like, this is just such a fascinating thing, right? Because our last patch in StarCraft was 19 years ago or so. So it's been the same game, but new bugs keep on getting found, right? Like, for instance, did you guys see this new vulture control bug?
Yeah, I still don't understand how it works.
Zero didn't see it. Zero, you didn't see this?
Oh, I
Oh,
didn't.
now.
Oh, now
this came out like yesterday or the day before. Okay, there is actually. Let me see if I have this window still up. Do I still have this? Where is this? Here it is. Okay, I'm gonna give this to Cobra and see if we can play this. There it is. It's crazy. So there is a new thing that just popped out. And basically it seems, I haven't actually sat down and tested this yet. I'm going to have to, but you can now lay a mine with a vulture and instantly fire. Okay. This is the crazy thing about Brood War. The fact that we still have new control techniques and new things being found. Like, you spam hold position on this. And on like the vulture, I believe this is how you do it, is like you lay the mine, you spam hold, and instead of laying the mine and then kind of coming off the mine and then stopping and then shooting, it just like shoots. So, I mean, we have this. Yeah, you watching this, right? Well,
yeah,
just watch it for a second.
That's impressive. That's impressive. New stuff coming in. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy, right? Now I think he's about to show what it actually looks like when you lay and shoot. See that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I just wish, I wish I could travel back, I guess, 10 years and show this video to Fantasy and just be like, this is what you could be doing. You could be doing this right now.
The fact that he's laying the mines with the vulture and still fighting the other vulture that's not laying mines. Oh my God, my head is exploding. But there's just, I don't know, all these different things that are coming out. That's not the only recent bug. I don't know if you guys saw the thing where you can instantly accelerate flying units with shift clicks. We have that just came out. We have the giant recall bug where you can recall twice as many units as you ever could before. Instead of 25, you can get up to 48 units in a recall. Yeah. Obviously we all saw that Templar bug, but I think that's very lag based. Yeah. That doesn't really work in play, right? You have to have a crazy situation for that, where you can make a High Templar or an Archon out of a High Templar and hallucination.
Well, the funny thing about that is the first day that got discovered, the next day was an STPL play day, and one of the team leaders asked me, is this banned? And I'm like, well, technically no, because I don't know if it's any good, but they didn't use it. So it was a bit disappointing, but yeah, it's a cool bug.
Yeah, well, I just kind of wanted to bring this up because it's such a fascinating, weird part of Brood War that we still have all these things coming up that are changing the games. And obviously some of these things we don't really see all that often, but for instance, I'm sure all of us have seen in a pro game by now and maybe felt it ourselves, like the mass recall or something like that. But what are you guys' thoughts on this type of thing? Do you guys think that we'll ever actually need another patch in the game? Are we going to eventually find a bug like that?
I don't think we do.
Everything you listed, other than the High Templar, I don't really think is a bug. I think the mines shooting or laying the mines and shooting, I think if you can do that, you should be rewarded to do that. Just like when I think about that, I think about the recent finding of if you hit, is it stop or hold on the lurker, they instant burrow. If you can move your lurkers and do that at the same time and they burrow faster, you should be rewarded for the faster burrow. I kind of see it on that type of level. The recall, now I have gotten recalled like that. And let me tell you, that thing is
that must be terrible.
Ridiculously strong. So this guy flew into my base. I had turrets everywhere. He was going to die. So he just ended up recalling at my rally point. It was circuit breaker. So my rally point is right before the bridges. My units were out on the map. I went and counted the supply that he recalled after that. It was 86 supply he recalled on me. 86. That's almost your entire army. What happened was he ran his zealots in my main, killed all my factories, and killed my command center. Now, that's talking from experience. When it happened, I was like, how do you stop this? But I don't think it's a bug. If you can clump up all your units, Terran's not in your face, and it allows Protoss to do that, well, you should be able to get away with it. But the Templar thing, I think that's the only actual bug you should not be able to hallucinate yourself and then make an Archon like for half price. That's the real bug. The hallucinations should not have the skills, like when you select a real one and the second one, they shouldn't have that merge capability. That's if I was to see a patch, I would imagine that would be the only one to get patched.
Funny thing is, though, if you think about the actual competitive uses of hallucination, the only one I've ever seen, I think, was, well, it happens rarely. Like, Jangby used to use this a lot in, like, 2010, sort of hallucinating an Arbiter so you can fly in your Arbiter and recall. Now, outside of that, no one ever gets hallucination. So maybe giving hallucination a use is really cool. It's obviously based on lag. And also, you can't hallucinate yourself because the High Templar that merges with it needs to be a newer High Templar than the hallucination. So you have to kind of hallucinate something, build a High Templar, and then merge it like straight away. And then the hallucination can time out before it finishes becoming an Archon, and you lose both. So it's kind of really, really high risk. The reward isn't all that great.
Do you lose the Archon? Is that what you just said? You lose the Archon after a certain amount of time?
Not if it works fully, but I think if it's still merging, I think it disappears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you're right on that. That if the hallucination runs out before the merge is done, then I think it actually makes the whole Archon disappear.
Okay.
I saw that there was like I don't know if it was like April's Fool's joke after they discovered the mass recall. I don't know if it was Mr. Grant Davis or Mr. Matt Sherman. I don't know, but I think it was like they said when all the bugs and when everything in StarCraft will be discovered, and it was like it will be in 2100 and it will be done by artificial intelligence. So when it will happen, I am expecting that we will still like find out new things which are happening to Brood War.
Yeah. Well, definitely a very cool aspect of what's going on. Okay. Well, some great discussion for sure. Let's just talk about the leagues that are going on real quick. Can you give us an update of exactly where you're at in STPL Qikz?
So we are now in the final week of round 4. There was 4 rounds overall. So after this final week of casting, there's going to be the final set of playoffs. And then after I've moved house, because I'm moving soon, I'll be doing the grand final playoffs, which is where the prize pool is going to be divided and everything like that. So we're right by the end of season 1. There should only be about, I think, like 6 weeks left. And given it's been going since last March, I'm pretty sure the players will be happy to have a little bit of a break.
Yeah. And who's left in your tournament? Like, who are some of the big teams and big players that people want to watch?
So the major players in terms of teams, I mean, both the groups are actually really close. But the bigger names that maybe a lot of people may have heard of before, NetWars have got their team in here. They're actually very close to making it into the playoffs. They came second in 2 of the rounds. So they've qualified for like the grand final playoffs already. White Clan are in there. White Clan, obviously, the clan where Best, Mind, and Shuttle are in. They've been around since round 1. They won 2 of the rounds. Soul Gaming is a new one. They've got players like Bjol, Spire, YSC, who's Huro from Samsung Khan. He's back in there as well. And also they've got Zealot too. He played in the recent ASL, if I remember correctly. So they're a pretty big team. And the major North American team as well, NAS, they've been doing really well. And there's also like a European team called IRK, and that's got players like The Wall, which is really cool. So
excellent. And BSL just finished up, right, Zero? In Nyoken? Can you guys tell us about what the end of that tournament looked like?
So it was like
after Nyoken lost in the round of 8, I just turned it off. I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, it was sad, but at least we have a great commentator, because if he would play a finals, he would commentate that. So that there is also a bright side of that.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, but we just had the finals on Sunday, so it was like Tutacz versus Bonnie. We had a Polish finals, and compared to the last season, we had Eonzek versus Bonnie, and Eon took Bonnie 4-2, and this season Tutacz took Bonnie 4-1. So it's very impressive that Bonnie was able to get to the finals 2 seasons in a row, but he got crushed by Azerk again. So I assume that he have he found a weakness in his matchup base, and now he just need to practice against Zerg more. But yeah, it just finished. So Two Touch was first, Bonnie was second, Dewold was third, and Dragon was fourth. So it was a little bit surprised that Two Touch won with Dewold, because Dewold is already in Korea and he's practicing for 3 months, and Two Touch won 3-0 against him. So that was that was extremely impressive. But then Dewold showed himself in a series against Dragon that maybe it was a weak day for him, because it's happened to anyone that they have a weak day.
Sure. So
it's basically it. And we had just had the Gosu League finals yesterday, and Taitu won 4-3 versus Castro. So that's what mostly what happened. Like the season just ended, so it's very fresh.
Yeah. Any games you guys suggest?
Oh yeah. If you don't like DTs, I do not suggest DeWalt versus Dragon on Circuit Breaker.
Oh, yeah.
If you just have nightmares about DTs, avoid that game. But there is also a amazing game with True Touch and DeWalt on blockchain.
Oh yeah.
One of the players was down to 2 workers. I'll just leave it at that. The game was nuts. There's a lot of games in the tournament that were crazy, but that one in particular stood out. Also, Napoleon versus DeWalt was also on blockchain, and that was also like a 40-minute games. There were tons of good games in BSL, honestly. And what I like about BSL is there's not, like, every player that qualified for BSL is legitly like 2,300 to 2,400, 2,500 range. Like, they're all very good. There wasn't a single series where I watched and you could just say like, well, of course he won. He's that much better. Every single series was close. People like I like Ghost to Dark. Ghost to Dark almost took out True Touch in round of 16, and True Touch won it all, right? And Ghost to Dark ended up getting eliminated. So like people that you like, everybody was very close. The brackets could have been screwed up, could have gone so many different ways. For example, I could have gotten eliminated from easily in my group. My group was stacked. Eonzer got eliminated. He was a BSL champ last season. Koget got eliminated also. The BSL is great. All the games were really good and really close.
Yeah. Well, all the top players really are such top players. It's kind of cool to see. It's like a very slow thing for players to really join those top ranks. Like you said, Boneth hitting the finals twice in a row. You're always seeing DeWalt at the top of every tournament. Eon Zerg, except when Nyoken gets a hold of him. All these really strong players. Very, very cool to see. I hope that we see some of these players. Maybe I'm kind of excited about the storyline of some of these guys trying out Korea. Like when Draco was back playing heavily, and he quickly became one of the best guys again. He told me at one of these lanes, I think Zotac, he was telling me, he's like, Boneth is so good. It's like, I got my builds from Boneth. This guy really knows what he's doing. But then, of course, I go and turn on a Bonnet stream and immediately see him proxy gate and make a robo and center against Terra. I'm like, nope, click this off. But, yeah, no, these players are just, it's pretty awesome to see. This has always been a soft spot in my heart for Brood War, where it's like, yeah, the Koreans are better. There's no question. It's like the distance between the Koreans and everyone else is bigger in StarCraft 1 than in any other esport. There's nothing like it. But the foreigners are so ridiculously good. It's like they're really strong. A bunch of them can beat the Korean pro gamers and stuff. They're not favored to win a KSL or something like that. It's not, we don't have anyone that's like a Serral, but definitely very high quality, good games. And kind of speaking about, the top players being the top players, with ASL just finishing up, of course, we had, Last and Rain both in the top 4 again. It feels like we're entering a new era right now. I want to get your guys' opinions about this, where like the old guns, they were really dominant just a few seasons ago, but the new names are really kind of taken over as everyone else is kind of, obviously Flash and Jaedong have wrist issues and stuff, but we have a new crop of pros that are like always at the top right now. And I wanted to kind of get your guys' opinions on who's in this group that we should be watching in the Korean scene in the next coming years.
Like Rain, definitely, but I'll let Nyoken go first.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rain, Last, Effort. Zero just came back and he's already really good. Light just switched to Protoss and he's killing everybody.
Really? He switched like seriously, or
for seriously? He switched to Protoss. He's high ranked. He's like 2,800 or something, 2,600.
Dude,
20,
26, 28 is insane. That's
he's really high already. He's only been playing it for a month. Well, let's be real. He's played Protoss probably a lot longer than a month, but he's probably only playing it seriously for a month. He's really great. Mini has shown that he's finally made a finals. Maybe he still can't win a finals, but every time you look at ASL, where's Mini? Top 8 every time, top 4 every time I see Mini. So those you definitely look out for. And I have to say that you pointing out that the old timers are fading out. If we look at was it this ASL? Like Tinkle made it in. E-Hazard. Zealot made it. And there's actually amateurs qualifying. There's actually new players qualifying. So that's a good sign that players like that are finally making it in. There's also that show match with Bishop versus somebody. Can't remember. Oh, was it Bishop versus Zella?
From the OGN thing?
Yeah, the OGN thing. So there's a bunch of newcomers, and they're really good. And with access to the FP VODs, the gap closes so fast. It's unreal how good the players are in general. Even foreign skills has gone up considerably. So yeah, you definitely got to look out for the newcomers.
Yeah, it's totally different right now to practice. Like back in the days when you had to practice, you need to ask to beg someone for the replays, and then you would have some good replays, and then you can copy strategies. And now you can see Effort or Sulky or Larva playing from the first person view, and oh, that's how you do it. I did it wrong for 15 years. It was just like that, and so it's actually much easier, right? And I think that also like from a Zerg, Effort and Sulky, these are like two best Zergs. I mean, maybe Larva too, but 3 best Zergs in my opinion, like in the whole world, who deserve to win. Like Larva didn't win anything actually in Korea yet, but he's really good. But also it was very disappointed that Sulky got eliminated, and it shows how high of a level in the round of 16 ISL was.
Yeah, I mean, Nyoken mentioned the player I'm most excited for, but back in 2011, the main 3 players that were said to sort of replace Bisu, Flash, Jaedong, and Stork was Jangbi, Fantasy, and Zero. And Zero back then was by far my favorite Zerg player. He was the most creative out of any Zerg player I'd ever seen. And he went to the military. He's finally back. And he's been just killing everyone. Like, he has just immediately shot straight up to like the top of the rankings. And in the AJ League, he did incredibly well for his team. And I just can't wait to see more of Zero because his play is just amazing.
Yeah, he was always very fun.
Yeah, and I actually look forward to E-Hazard or Tinkle because when I watched him play, my favorite player for Terran is Fantasy. I like Flash, but when I watch Fantasy is how I wish I could play. He's got killer macro, he's got killer harassment, his micro's nuts. Like, I look at him, I was like, that's what I want to imitate. And when I was watching Tinkle play, I was getting flashbacks to that. I was like, wow, this is Fantasy-esque style with his harassment on blockchain. So I think you should definitely look to him as probably the next up-and-comer. I know that fake Jaedong Soma has been on the rise, but I actually like Tinkle a lot.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that assessment. Actually, I didn't even think to bring this up, but it's a great thing because you guys keep talking about the level and the amateurs coming up. But every time I talk to guys that were StarCraft 1 players, but only pay a little bit of attention now, they don't seem to believe me, but I want to see what you guys think. Like, the level now compared to the level back then, like way back in the day, right? What is the higher, like, are people better now? Because in my opinion, right now, this is like the strongest competition overall. It's just everyone's gotten so ridiculously good due to watching the streams, and there's just like a bigger free flow of information, of build orders, of watching pros, seeing mechanically how they do things and stuff like that. That's so for me personally, I look at this, I'm like, oh no, this is way harder than it used to be.
Yeah, it's not even a question of if it's harder. It is harder. When I came back, I'm playing on Fish. I was hard stuck in E rank for a long time, and I was like, E rank seems comparable to like C rank on iCup, and I'm playing people that's got like 20 gateways. They macro out of all of them. They don't just build 20 and only use 5. It's crazy. And now ladder is really strong. Now I don't know if the top tier has gotten a lot better, but the overall general population has gotten way better. I know Flash made a comment in an interview where if he could go back in time knowing what he knows now, he would never lose, like literally 100% win rate.
No, he specifically said that he is much better than he's been in the past, and he's improved so much even just recently. So that all these people saying it's like less competitive and less good, you guys actually don't know what you're talking about. You don't play the game.
Yeah, it's way, way harder. And what I think you just mentioned about learning something like Zero mentioned, now that you have FP VODs, you realize that you've been doing something wrong for 15 years. Zero, I actually had this moment 2 or 3 months ago, and I've been talking to Artosis about it, about macro. Like, I'm like, dude, look at this FP VOD at this moment. You see what he's doing? We've been doing it wrong the whole time. Like, I'm trying to implement it now. It's so hard to implement, but I'm having like epiphanies 15 years later. Like, no wonder I can't hit these times. Like, for my bane of existence is Terran versus Protoss. Every time I try to do a timing, it fails. But now that I'm having this realization, I'm like, wow, I can actually make these timings work. So builds like 2FAC that I thought were just absolute garbage, I've got to rethink these things. Like, they're actually becoming part of my gameplay. So yeah, like the skill level is way, 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 way higher. There's no comparison.
Yeah, I mean,
would you guys agree?
I'm going to play devil's advocate slightly and say that there is one difference between play now and play back then. When you look at even solo tournaments back then, people are playing a lot more creative. Now, one player that's done that recently in the ASL was Effort. Like, Effort was pulling out styles that no one else has really ever tried before. Now, part of it is because people say, well, Brood War's more figured out now. There are the best ways to play. But I think it's more where you don't have something like Pro League, where you don't have the Pro League teams, where people are like gathering together to like come up with these new strategies to take down specific players. That's kind of missing. And that's the one thing that's somewhat disappointing to me. But the standard play overall has definitely become a lot more strong. It's just when you look at like the variety of styles, it's certainly toned down a bit compared to what it used to.
And
what do you think about it?
And even based on APM, we saw like 10 years ago, the average APM of a pro gamer was like 300, 350. And now I can see Effort playing and something happens to my head because it's like 480 and he can do it for like first 8 minutes. And even that shows that you need to have much more actions to be able to do things which are needed to be in the top. So I think like the skill level is definitely much higher, but also like the skill level of the foreigners is compared to the Koreans. I think it's much higher because like now, as you said, guys, earlier, like Aronzek and Devil, they can beat like these pro gamers like Best, like Miso, like Zealot, and they are fighting with them like an even game. I saw that Aronzek took Fire but Hero 2-0, and if I would like recall, like if Boxer would retire for 5 years, I could imagine that if he would return, he would beat every single foreigner relatively easily, just after a few months of playing. So I believe like the gap is definitely smaller. I remember when Draco won with Midas, and I watched that VOD like 100 times because Artosis was casting that with Stasis, and it was this Stasis on the ramp on Gaia. That's incredible game, and it was so incredible that someone won one game against Korean. And now, of course, it's not official leagues, but we can see that there are some foreigners who can fight against best Koreans, and that's really good. That's good, really good for the future.
Yeah. Well, this has been a wonderful discussion about Brood War. Do you guys have anything else you want to bring up before we continue onwards towards the end?
Just play Brood War. That's
Just play Brood War.
Just play Brood War. Not even Brood War. Just play Starcraft. Starcraft overall is good. Starcraft is. This is the last RTS. This is the last real-time strategy. If we will not keep Brood War alive, or if we not keep Starcraft 1 or Starcraft 2, we will be left with MOBA or Counter-Strike. We would like to have...
we don't want that.
Yeah, we want to have real-time
that.
strategy.
And the other thing is, if you're watching and you think, well, I'm not good enough to play ladder, you don't have to. There's a mode called Fastest, which is amazing. Like, you get basically infinite money. Everything builds really, really quickly. There's like big game hunters as well, big team games. They're still massive in StarCraft Remastered. So if you're worried about playing 1v1, you can play those, and it's still a lot of fun.
All right. Excellent. Well, I'm going to quickly review GSL and WCS, and we'll get into the Patreon questions. Of course, guys, you have a few seconds left to post your Patreon questions. Go to our Patreon page or ThePylonShow.com. Check that out. Anyways, WCS Winter Americas and Europe. They finished up the group. That's actually where Geoff was last week, doing some great commentary for that. So just throwing that up in a second here and letting you guys see what these brackets look like at this point. For the NA group, of course, this is StarCraft 2 I'm talking about now, guys, once again, real quick. And I'm giving StarCraft 2 the StarCraft 1 treatment this week, where at the end I just quickly talk about it by myself and then we move on. Anyways, for WCS in the NA region, NA/the rest of the world that isn't Europe, Scarlet won, Neeb got second, Time actually in third place, so everyone on the Pylon Show kind of underestimating him a little bit. Masa in fourth, Cham fifth, Estrella sixth, and then Puck and Probe unfortunately eliminated. Over in Winter, Raynor actually ended up winning, and Cyril did not even get second. On map score, he lost by one map to Hero Marine. So it goes Raynor, Hero Marine. That's great. Every Terran actually makes it through. Cyril, Petit Drogo, Laser Lambo, and then unfortunately, both Showtime and Rail gonna fall out. And so that gives us our brackets. And of course, the brackets are like I don't know what you call this, like a step bracket or something, where the two lowest players play each other, the winner plays the guy that was next, so on and so forth until the final match. And there is, I don't know if there is actually a loser bracket or not. I don't think that there is. So anyways, that's how it'll be. In the finals, Raynor and Scarlet await. So that's going to be really fun. I think that is that coming up next week?
But Cyril lost 2 games. That's impressive. I mean, after the BlizzCon, I'm a huge fan of Cyril. So that's impressive that he lost 2 games. The level needs to be incredibly high.
Yeah, everyone is really improving at this point. I think Cyril lit a fire under everyone's ass. Maybe we can get Eon Zerg to qualify for ASL, and it'll do the same for Brood War. But yeah, that's going to be absolutely awesome. Make sure everyone checks that out. Of course, the GSL, we are into the round of 8. We just had the first night of round of 8 last night. So if you haven't watched yet, spoiler alert, we had Bunny versus Dark. That went exactly as you may expect. Dark 3-0'd Bunny. And then we had Classic versus Rogue, which this was quite the storyline because Rogue, of course, hasn't won a GSL somehow, despite being one of the winningest players of all time. And he always dies in the round of 8 of GSL for some reason. And it happened again. He was up 2-1, looking dominant, only losing to a Cannon Rush. And then Classic clutched it out in just insane games. That was a great series. The Dark Bunny one, had a good game and an almost good game and then a bad game. The Classic Rogue series, 100% worth watching. So definitely watch that. And of course, that was yesterday. So on Saturday, we will have Maru versus Steer and Trap versus TY. Oh, and yes, the KSL. I actually forgot to go over this at all, but we just had the online qualifiers, myself and Rapid casted for entirely too many hours after he was doing STPL, I think, actually. So
yeah,
that madman hadn't slept since like 2 a.m. I don't know. He's a crazy person. But yeah, the online qualifiers are all done. There's you don't really need to watch the VOD on those. There's definitely some good games in there, but a lot of skill mismatches. Whereas this Saturday, I believe it starts at 10 a.m. KST, so a couple hours earlier than last time, we'll be having the offline quals. And that's going to be awesome. And it's going to be very different too. It's actually going to be me and Cadenzi casting that. So I think people enjoy that. I have a Zerg player casting with me. So it'll be interesting to do all that. And I think Eon Zerg should be playing in there, as well as
Yeah.
everyone that's not seeded, including apparently Lights Protoss. So that's pretty exciting. That's kind of crazy. Okay, so from there, I think we're going to go ahead and jump into the Patreon questions. 1 second, let me pull those up. And we'll see what people have to ask. All right. Okay. The first question from Don. And of course, guys, if you want to ask Patreon questions, you can go ahead and support us on patreon.com/ThePylonShow. And yeah, that's if you support $5 or more, you get to ask directly on the page. And if you support more than that, you can like get bigger questions and things like that. We'll go over that a little bit later. Anyways, on to these questions so our poor European guests can get to sleep. First off, Dawn asks, Cobra, who of course is our wonderful PD, runs the whole show, can't do it without him. What race do you play?
So I started off in Starcraft 2 playing Terran, quickly got bored, switched to Zerg, very inefficient. Went to Protoss because the unit design is just amazing. Went to Atlanta, where I played against Puck. I got through the series bracket well enough to play against Puck on stage live. His ID at the time was Iron Man. And that was amazing. And
Wow.
I quickly learned that I can get to Masters with Protoss doing a Roddy style strategy with Phoenix and stuff. But beating Puck, that's a whole nother level. That's the time I don't have. And after that, I pretty much said, nope, that's about it for me. And then I went to first person shooters, and that's been about it ever since.
Wow. I think I actually watched that match when it happened. This is a blast from the past. Wow. Okay, that is sick. All right. That was a great question. Thank you, guy in the Patreon. All right. Lamers asks, what is your go-to song for karaoke? If you refuse to sing, what would you like to hear the other Pylon Show hosts or guests sing? So I don't know if any of you guys go to karaoke ever, or Noribong, or singing rooms, or whatever you call it, wherever you're from. It's called Noribong here. What do you guys go to as your default song?
Oh, I think it might be a tricky question because then you will ask me to sing and then there will be no viewers anymore. So.
I won't make you sing.
I don't know. I Want It All from Queens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. Qikz, you ever go to karaoke?
We don't really have like karaoke bars in the UK, but if I was going to sing anything, there's like this really cool Japanese singer. I love his voice. It's Shigeru Matsuzaki, and I love all of his songs. It'd be that or anything by Queen, because everyone knows all the Queen lyrics. Like Queen is just
there you go. Yeah. Nyoken.
Yeah, I
have you
can't
ever
sing.
done this?
No, I can't sing either. But I was also thinking Queen. If I had to sing a song, it would have to be something slow paced, something easy that. Sure, the tone's gonna be off, but you can't mess it up. So I was thinking like "We Are the Champions." That could be that could be an easy one to go for. Of course, the tone's gonna be terrible, but yeah, I would probably go for that one.
Well, I mean, I guess you guys actually have well thought out responses. I have to go occasionally. It's called Noribong out here. It's very popular. So I've definitely been a lot of times, and I do have default songs I fall back into. Generally, the first song that I will do on a given evening will be Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend. So that's, yeah, no, it's good. And if I've had a couple sojus, you'll see me. I'll sing it to Tasteless specifically, do a little dance. It's good stuff. All right. Thank you for the question. From Ambrose. Great work to Artosis and Rapid for casting KSL qualifiers. Why are those qualifiers on air compared to ASL and GSL? Cost? I don't know. KSL wanted to air their qualifiers, and I think it's like the KSL qualifiers specifically. So it's done in a very different way than ASL. So KSL, most of it's done online, and you submit the replays. So we're actually casting replays. The final day is all at one venue in South Korea, in Seoul. So it's easy to broadcast that. Whereas ASL is spread between 3 different cities over 3 days. And there's a ton of players at each, so they just run through the qualifiers super fast. So it doesn't work as well. They do have Korean casts of those, but yeah, they for whatever reason they don't do the English casts. I'm fine with that though. It means I get to play in them and get wrecked by pro gamers. Okay, from Critter MD. Has Artosis ever considered going back to school to study multiple subjects? You're funny. You're a funny guy in the chat. Thank you for that. It's a meme that I didn't study multiple subjects in college. Okay. From a Hydro 33. What is the state of EG? They were once a top esports organization, but now are barely recognized outside of Dota. Was this a conscious effort or mismanagement? So remember, Sir Scoots, he would burn his lawn if TL got a CSGO team before EG, and they did broken promises. I mean, EG definitely had Counter-Strike teams. I don't know about CSGO, but EG was purchased by Twitch at some point. So I'm not sure exactly what went wrong there. Sorry. All right. The NeosteelEnthusiast asks, let's commit sacrilege. For the first time in almost 18 years, how would you balance patch Brood War? Inaction is not an acceptable answer. Ooh. Let's do it, guys. What would you guys patch? A patch comes out. What do you do?
Remove Protoss. I'm going for the popular vote.
There you go. All right.
I mean, if we see, I don't think you can make drastic changes. I know people always talk about Terran being op and stuff, and how can you nerf them? I've read people want to nerf like the tank damage down to 80 at +3, reduce or increase the vulture cost. I've thought about this a bit. So one thing that I realized with Protoss is shields take full damage regardless of damage type. And every time I watch Protoss versus Zerg, it's almost just pure Hydra, right? Like every single game is pure Hydra, and it just chews through everything. So I was thinking, like, instead of shields always being 100% damage, like maybe they take 75%. I mean, that would be a big change though, but it would limit. So for example, like the Zealot used to be 80-80, right? 80 shields, 80 health. And now it's 100 shields, 60 health. So now they take full damage for a long time, and it makes stuff. It makes stuff like, it makes stuff like the Zergling really strong versus it. It also, I can't remember what else I was thinking with the Zealot, but stuff like that, like something to do with shield damage. I think that sometimes it just takes too much damage. Like Archons are almost worthless because that's the last upgrade you get in Protoss versus Zerg. I'd also do something to the Scout, because the Scout, now I know Boneth uses it, but other than that, you never see it, whether it's just automatically giving Scout one of the upgrades. Like, I don't know if you should give it speed, because speed is kind of, that would be like a huge buff, but maybe like the range buff that you get in the Fleet Beacon, something like that. I wouldn't do like any crazy change, like nerfing the siege tank damage. And now I know I'm Terran, but there are breakpoints with the siege tank damage that if you nerf it, all of a sudden like +2 doesn't two-shot tanks and stuff like this. So I don't know about that, but I would definitely look at shields, because I personally think that Zergs are having like a resurgence, like this is the era of Zerg. And I feel like Protoss is the one that's kind of just getting slammed. Now, I know Mini made it the finals and Zerg didn't make it to the finals at all, but I would definitely investigate shields, do something to buff Protoss a little bit. I know with Artosis here, you can't even imagine buffing Protoss, but I think so. I think you need to do something with the shields.
There's going to be a buff for Protoss soon without a patch, though, because Bisu should eventually be back, and he is by far his PVC is on like a complete other level to anybody else. So that would be cool.
Zero, what would you do? How do you patch?
I think I wouldn't change a lot. Maybe this, like, I know that these things that I tell about are the parts of the game, but maybe change like the bugged dragons things, because the dragons are bugging. It's so annoying. I know I'm not a Protoss, but it's like if you are moving and attacking, sometimes they are stacked, just like rivers. Like sometimes you expect that the river scarab will kill something, but it's like retarded and it's killing nothing actually. So these are the things that, like, I know that these are the parts of the game, but if they would eliminate that might make the game a little bit better. I don't know still, but I never thought about it, but because I'm like living in a dream, I think that Brood War was made an excellent game, and that's why it shouldn't be changed. But yeah, maybe these small things could be fixed.
Okay, yeah. I definitely agree with the Scout buff. The scout would need a buff. I think I would also because I'm just kind of looking at the stuff that's not used for the most part, because the game is super well balanced. And I think like the scout being able to be used would be the thing that would least screw everything up. I think I would also I would take away concussive damage from ghosts and give them regular damage and see if you'd ever use them. 10 regular damage, they don't shoot fast, but like if that wasn't concussive, I feel like I could find some places to use ghosts occasionally. But on concussive, I'm just like, what does this even do? This is the stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah. Oh, I remember one thing I would. Are you finished, or is that?
Well, I was going to say also, I would have EMP shoot out a little bit faster. It doesn't have to travel faster. Yes. It just has to launch faster, because it's fucking stupid how slow EMP is. It's like, I'll tell EMP, I see the Arbiter, it's nowhere near my base. I tell it to EMP. First off, it comes out so slow, but then the Arbiter with no energy and no shields just flies to my base and recalls anyway. It's so stupid. Anyways.
Yeah, so, yeah, with the vessel also, like, if the vessel is, like, facing a certain direction and then you EMP the other direction, it has to, like, spin before it EMPs it. I'm pretty sure that's how.
Yeah, it has to face what it's casting a spell at. I lose so many vessels of Scourge for that, because the little thing on its head isn't looking in the right direction. I'm like, oh, defense matrix, and I sit there and it's like, so stupid.
Yeah, that would be a nice change, because there's so many times where it's like, oh, Arbiter's coming in, I cast EMP, but they got off their stasis before me, and I get EMP, or I lose my board, get all my vessel stasis. Another thing that I just thought of, because I've been waiting for this for 20 years. I always run it through my head. When are we going to see somebody recall a Dark Archon, steal an SCV or a drone, and then recall it back out? Yeah. I've seen it in a Flash VOD on fastest, but I've been waiting for that to happen. I actually think that if that was to become mainstream, I know that's probably won't happen, but for you to be able to do that and get 400 supply, I think mind control should definitely be changed to, okay, you can mind control every unit, but you can't necessarily build with it. Like, if you mind control a queen, you can get the ability to broodling, or if you mind control a defiler, you can plague and stuff. But to be able to mind control a worker and then build up a second army and go up to 400 supply, that seems a bit much, but you don't see it. So I don't know.
There is one major balance thing that I think could actually really help. Like, a lot of Zerg players complain about CVT late game. I mean, as a Terran player who struggles with TVZ, I find it hard, but obviously at the pro level, it is a problem. It's making Broodling cheaper energy-wise, because then, like, Zero is like the only Zerg player who's really used Queens against tanks. But if Zerg had a better way of dealing with tanks in the super late game, then I definitely think it'd be better, because all of a sudden these big, like, turtle mech styles that Flash used to use when he did late mech suddenly becomes a little bit harder to do, and it takes a little bit more skill to do it as well.
All right. Well, an excellent question there, NeosteelEnthusiast. One last question here from our very own Alessander. Antigua has a Brood War AI competition where the loser buys the winner a pizza. Are you interested in seeing how you do? How do you guys think you would do against the very best Brood War AIs?
I would be fat, I think.
I don't know. I think I'd beat all the AIs every game personally, but
yeah.
Well, what AI are we talking? Because I don't know exactly what the Antigua AI is, but I've seen videos of bots with, like 30,000 APM, and they micro one Wraith and kill all the units. If we're facing that, I mean, you're dead, right? But
well, it's killing like computer units that are like stupid. You would set a trap for the Wraith. You do something like build a turret, and then the Wraith isn't going to kill you, right?
I don't know. Somehow it probably will.
Nyoken not so sure of himself, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I like if we use. I mean, Starcraft 2 had this. They had that show match with the pros versus Google's bot, right? And there was only one winner, and we're talking about foreigners that are top, like they can win or go deep in ASL or GSL, right? So for me, since I'm not going deep in ASL or something, I imagine I would get wrecked.
Okay. Qikz, what do you think?
I mean, I get humiliated on a daily basis just playing against people my level. Like, I'm not going to be an AI. I'm just going to be honest.
Okay.
Like, I can beat the computer, but no, like, those AI are just so good.
What were you saying, Zero?
Yeah, I wanted to say that if there would be like a bot, because I really like, it was impressive for me that DeepMind made these rules that the AI can't use more APM than a player, and then for the second version they actually changed that the AI needs to use a click to like look at the minimap, because they can't take the information from the minimap. So if there would be bot like that in Brood War, and that bot would be able to to fight with the best Koreans, that would be amazing for me. Because like as Nyoken said, if there is a bot with 30,000 APM, it's like we've been talking about, like this is the mechanical game, and for AI there is no mechanical barrier. So actually fighting against someone or something which has 30,000 APM, it's actually not even, but still the brain of a human being, I think, can be a little bit better. But if there would be someone who would like to invest a little bit more into the artificial intelligence in StarCraft, if they would make it like the rules of DeepMind, I think it could be very popular, also in Korea.
All right. Yeah, just for a little update, Antigua's bot is actually Purple Wave from Alessander. Won the competition that they have. It's not DeepMind level, these bots, but yeah, some of them are getting pretty damn good, so I hear. All right, that is the end of our Patreon questions. Thank you everyone so much for that, and a big thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. We'll get that graphic up, and guys, if you want to support the Pylon Show, the best way that you can possibly do it is through our Patreon. You know, we really appreciate everyone who has subscribed and stayed subscribed. We do have some rewards for the $25 and up tiers now, where you can ask giant questions on the Pylon Show, and you can go ahead and check out our Patreon for that. And of course, if you give $5 per month, then you get to ask some of these questions like what we just went over. So big cheers to that. Also, want to say a big thank you to the whole Pylon team. We have so many people working on the show at this point. It is not just Cobra, not just Alessander, even more than that. Helped to put this all together, because I mean, anyone who has watched me try to do anything on a computer knows that I am not responsible for what you're looking at right now. So big thanks to all you guys out there. You can see our nice list, and of course our sponsors. We have you know, I just talked about the Patreon quite a bit, so you can look at that. Also AFKT at afkt.com. I use Pylon for your discounts. It's a great place to get tea. I drink their tea quite regularly. I'm going to need some new tea pretty soon. I'm almost out. But they're fantastic. Also, Matcherino, matcherino.com/Pylon Show. Guys, type in the code under contribute theater. It's important. Do that for us. It helps us out a lot. I'm going to do it right now. Look at that. I just gave us $1. Isn't that awesome? Oh, I already did it. Anyways, do that, and click on the little follow for 24-hour fitness on their YouTube and their Twitter. That helps us out a lot as well, so we can get more activations in the future. And it gives you a 7-week free pass to their gyms. So definitely worthwhile. Get yourself in shape. It's important. So yeah, that's it as far as our sponsors go. I want to thank once again all of our guests. You guys have been fantastic. Tell us what you're up to, where people can follow you, where people can get more of you. Nyoken, let's start with you. Where can people get more Nyoken? They watch this episode, like, this guy's great.
Can see me on Twitch TV /Nyoken. I got YouTube /Nyoken. I've got a Twitter, the Nyoken. That's only one different. I stream sometimes, not often, but I do make some YouTube videos specifically with build order and analysis and stuff like that. And when Bombastic Star League, I guess, when that comes back, you can check me out there. Excellent.
And Zero, you? What's up in your week?
So it's ZeroPL, the Twitch. It's the Twitter is also ZeroPL. On Facebook, we have the Bombastic Star League. There is on Facebook. On YouTube, we have Didek. Yes, that's all. That's my Didek. Didek is my Didek ZZZ is my channel, and yeah. I think this is it. We also have like the Discord of BSL with over 500 people. The BombasticStarLeague.com. And Liquidpedia. So some Team Liquid also is a good resource to find like some some goodwill content. So basically, these are the most important.
Great. Thank you so much. And Qikz, what about you?
For me, I'm going to make it easy. The two places you should probably check for my content are twitter.com/STPLTV and then youtube.com/STPLTV. And then just so I can spell it out, my Twitch is twitch.tv/QikzSD, which is QIKZSD. I need to change that to make it a little bit easier because my name is not a real word. So yeah, but I'll be there. I'll be doing STPL at least for the next month. Then I'll probably have a little bit of a break, but then there'll be more STPL after that. So I'm going to be constantly casting for the next year or so again. So that'll be fun.
Great. Well, that is just about that as far as me. I will just be on my stream tomorrow, as well as the gigantic day of KSL offline qualifiers on Saturday. That is going to be long. Oh, yeah. And by the way, there was this guy that showed up at the studio with a sign that pressured Tasteless into saying he'll go on the Pylon show. So cheers to this guy that I met last night. Very friendly gentleman watching GSL. All right. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and thanks to you all for coming on, and especially guys in the middle of the night. And we will see you guys all next week.